Imminence. Go throw them knees up in the air.
9, 8, 7. We have a go for main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, and liftoff.
It's the SFL nights it's the SFL nights with AJ Striker, with AJ Striker. It's the SFL nights it's the SFL nights with AJ Striker, with AJ Striker. Ashley Jackson about the action. SFL news, come and join with interaction. Whatever happens, happens. Yeah, you will leave with satisfaction. Yeah, tell your team and tell your captain. Come and tune in, new episodes weekly. You can tune in from your room in afternoons, and when the moon hits, it's unique. It's the SFL nights it's the SFL nights with AJ Striker, with AJ Striker. It's the SFL nights it's the SFL nights with AJ Striker, with AJ Striker. It's the SFL nights it's the SFL nights with AJ Striker, with AJ Striker. It's the SFL nights it's the SFL nights
What is up, SFL Nation? And welcome back to SFL Nights with AJ Striker. Thank you so much for joining me today or tonight or whenever you decide to hit that play button or turn on that radio dial. Really appreciate it, y'all. And I'm joined with the hostess. I was gonna say hostess with the mostest, but you're not a lady. So let me read the the host with the most, Mr. Nathaniel Diggs. How you doing? I'm cutting that, by the way.
No, you're not gonna cut it. It's gonna be a whole thing now.
How are you?
So I guess I need to change how I speak.
No,
cover these games like this.
You better stop. Man, I went to work today. Got work brain. You already know how to do it.
I know.
But man, glad to have you back. I know we missed a couple of weeks tending to responsibilities and that. So I'm glad we made time to be here for the people. Tonight is going to be a pretty good show. We're going to have week 9 action this week, as well as our week 10 picks. Diggy is going to let us know how we're doing on our picks. With the question of the week, or hot topic question of the week, I should say, is what is the best method of recruitment for players? And since Diggy is GM, I feel like this would be a great time to kind of get his take on what he thinks the best method of recruitment of players could be. I'm also joined with my 4th and goal interviews with Mr. BJ Loveless and Mr. Jonny Pichler tonight. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least. But here is week 9. Okay, so week 9 goes as follows. DC Dragons took on the Charleston Predators, and DC won 14-13. Los Angeles Lakers battled the Jacksonville Kings, where Los Angeles won 33-7. Tulsa Desperados took on the Portland Fleet, and Tulsa won 20-17. San Diego Mavericks battled the Arizona Scorpions, where Arizona won 30-7. Florida Storm took on the Sioux Falls Sparrows, where Sioux Falls won 27-23. Baltimore Vultures battled the Denver Nightwings, where Baltimore was victorious 31-10. The Atlanta Swarm took on the Minnesota Legends, where Minnesota won 48-20. Wow. The Alamo City Artillery took over Alamo City Artillery took on the Houston Headhunters, where Houston won 45-34. The Indianapolis Ramblers battled the Vancouver Legion, where Indianapolis was victorious 34-23. Las Vegas Fury took on the Carolina Skyhawks, where Las Vegas won 41-28. Mexico City battled the Motor City V8s, where Mexico City won 31-14. Louisiana Revolutions took on the Seattle Nemesis. Louisiana Revolution took on the Seattle Nemesis, where Louisiana won 24-14. And lastly, the Fort Worth Toros battled the London Knights, where London won 49-42. Great games this week, and we're going to break it down for you right now. All right, so Diggy, where we at with the pick'ems, brother?
The pick'ems, I had to go back and look because, you know, you weren't feeling too well the one week, and then I was dealing with sick kiddos at the house last week, and everybody's good now. So, to catch us back up, I'm just totals instead of going back the weeks. Right now, I'm 52 out of 94, and you're 62 out of 94. So I got some work to do, but I still got a little bit of time. I've been shooting for the stars on a couple of them, so you know.
And sometimes it work out, you know. Sometimes it didn't, but I know a couple of them that we definitely called wrong. But I'm gonna let you go first with your game you're gonna break down.
First game I did was Las Vegas and Carolina. So Carolina started off with a run game, and Carolina came out strong throwing the ball, Las Vegas came out strong throwing the ball. So, getting that high-powered offense rolling early with a touchdown pass from Price to Blades to get the first points on the board. Carolina started to get more into the pass game in the second, eventually hitting McDaniel Jr. in the end zone to tie it up halfway through the second. Backtrack because I guess I lost signal. but Blades gets a second touchdown of the game and got Vegas up 21-14 to start the third. You know, like I said, Carolina kept the mix pretty much balanced going, and got Hanzo back into the end zone to tie the game up again. And then the third, Vegas started out the fourth saying enough was enough. You know, Britain gets Vegas back into the lead there, and Vegas got an interception, and Carolina was able to hold them to a field goal, making it 31-21. Hit Mason Kirby deep as he shook off a defender and got into the end zone to make it 38-21. But, you know, Carolina hit that hurry-up offense and dominated their way back down the field and hit the end zone to DeSantis, close the gap a little bit to 10. Carolina was able to force a punt, and Vegas ate a lot of clock. But you know, they ended up throwing an interception, which led to, you know, that being the dagger pretty much in the game there. They got a field goal at the end of the game to close it out 41-28. Overall, it was there was a lot of good games this week, so I'm sure Cam was a lot happier
Indeed. Than last week, because it was, you know, kind of a barn burner for some, you know. But my game was a very surprising one. I alluded to that earlier. Atlanta Swarm taking on the Minnesota Legends, where Atlanta lost 48-20. Now, Atlanta was undefeated until this game. They traveled up to St. Paul, Minnesota, and I don't know if it was the cold weather. I don't know what it was, but they were not playing like the Atlanta that I'm used to seeing, at least for the past few weeks. For instance, their passing game was significantly lower than Minnesota's. I mean, Bryant had 287 yards passing, where Reno was able to get 324. I mean, the Legends were able to convert third down at 71% versus Atlanta's 54%. Time of possession was also a biggie, with Minnesota having 25, holding the ball for 25 minutes and 20 seconds, whereas Atlanta only held the ball for 18 minutes, which is totally unorthodox, unlike it. Even the turnover rate, Atlanta had 4 turnovers, where Minnesota was only held to 1. So not sure where Atlanta's defense was on this game, but that again, this is not what I'm used to seeing from them. I mean, Minnesota even went for it on fourth down and was able to convert that. Atlanta had no points in the first quarter, 7 points in the second, 3 points in the third, and only 10 points in the fourth quarter, whereas Minnesota outscored them pretty much in every quarter except the third. They had 21 in the first quarter. They had 17 in the second quarter and 10 in the fourth. So, um, tough game for Atlanta. I'm sure they could bounce back, but I think, again, that cold snap probably just kind of clipped their wings a little bit because that's not what I'm used to seeing from them. Again, Minnesota is a fantastic team when they're also known as the legend killers, So, and indeed they were in this game. Now, I want to give a shout out though to Atlanta's wide receivers Boo Chisholm and Kyle Fenimore for both scoring touchdowns, and Aquantis Shine, their linebacker, was able to get 12 tackles and 6 assists. But Minnesota's Johnny Reno, quarterback, had 23 completions out of 28 attempts for 302 yards and 2 touchdowns. Colin Hart came up with 2 touchdowns, but where they really shined was their defense. Strong safety Tiga Clay, cornerback Cody Griffin, free safety Rick Evans, and cornerback Johnny Bravo all had interceptions. But Johnny Bravo actually turned his into 6. So, again, I think that maybe Atlanta was just caught off guard with this game. And I think Minnesota definitely put together the better game plan in order to take this win from Atlanta. So, good stuff. Diggy, who you got?
I felt for him. We've played in enough cold games this season. So,
Indeed.
The other game, I actually switched. I switched from one game to this game because I thought somebody needed to cover it because it was that well played of a game and it was that fun of a game to watch, and that was Tulsa. And so this game started off with a punt, quite a few punts, and pass deflections, and defenses were hitting hard, and just when you thought it was going to get rolling, the opposing defense really stepped it up. And I might lose you again in just a second. It says it's unstable here, but
okay.
Somebody's defense really stepped it up. So much it took till the end of the first for Jive to hit Benjamin Warner in the end zone to get Portland on the board first and go up 7-0. Had a chance to throw an interception that was tipped around and caught by Majors. Both running games were held in check pretty much for this game until Love was able to break a good big run and got into the end zone, as well as reaching the 1,000-yard mark on the season. So props to him. They ended up going up 14-0 on that. Tulsa's Brooke Beisel was able to get a field goal to end the half and at least get them on the board there, 14-3. So Portland was able to get an interception during and had to settle for a field goal to make it 17-3 with 4 minutes left in the. And this would be the last time Portland would score in this game. Mm-hmm. So Portland Smith was able to get an interception on Tulsa's very next possession. This time they were unable to capitalize as they threw a pass to a open receiver in the end zone, and it looked to me like it was just maybe a little underthrown, resulting in a tip that was picked off by Tulsa. Third, it was still Portland up 17-3. Now Tulsa started the fourth with a field goal to make it 17-6, and with this game, you would figure these defenses would have been gassed, but Tulsa's defense found something down deep as Marco Swift got an interception to get Tulsa the ball back. Brown had some great plays getting down the field, which led to Gabriel Manning getting a touchdown to close the gap, 17-13, and there was still 7 minutes left in the game. So Portland started to kneel and kill clock, running it down to 29 seconds before all down to the 7-yard line, giving Tulsa 21 seconds. Then JQ hits Manning for a 93-yard one-play touchdown, and they took the lead back 20-17. And it was a great way to see this game end like that after such a great defensive game. And I mean, like I said, both of these running backs and these coaches over there did a good job scouting this game in regards to being able to shut down each other's run game. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, Love was still able to break one off, but it was really fun to watch, and I'm glad the just as exciting as what you'd watch through pretty much the whole game. So it was a fun one, and I thought it really needed to be on here for this week.
Absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of people that was counting that game to be over with before the game even stopped. So that's why you always play the triple zeros. Speaking of that,
That's why if you pay for the ticket, you sit in the stand until the clock hits 0, because you never know. You can miss some of the greatest comebacks. So
exactly. So the Arizona Scorpions took on the San Diego Mavericks, and of course, Arizona won 30-7. And it was simply because we had the better game plan. We had played more balanced ball, and Eddie spent weeks scouting. Well, he spent weeks going back and scouting these guys. This was a must win for us. If they would have won the game, they would have been tied for the division with us, and we couldn't have that. So with the passing was pretty similar. San Diego passed the ball a little bit more with 255, and Arizona had 212. But where we shined was the rushing game. We had 186 yards to their 12, hence the balanced game that I spoke of earlier. Holding the ball, time possession, 28 minutes and 39 seconds for Arizona versus only 15 minutes and 21 seconds for San Diego. Caused 2 turnovers that were key factors also in us winning the game. Now, San Diego scored 7 points in the second quarter, and that was it. Where Arizona scored in every quarter, 10 points in the first quarter, 7 points in the second quarter, 10 points in the third, and 3 points in the fourth quarter to seal the deal. Now, shout-outs would include Dave Axis. He actually was able to get a touchdown. And also shout out to Mr. Freddie Trammell, linebacker. Dave Axis, for everybody that does not know, he is a diva wide receiver. And Freddie Trammell, linebacker, he was able to get 6 tackles, 3 assists, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 pass deflections. But shout out does go out to, let's see. We had DJ Moses coming up with a touchdown. Justin Williams, my fullback, so the fullback and the running back both got touchdowns. And then Connor Weston, wide receiver, was able to get a touchdown too. But we really shunned on defense. Again, these defensive games could kind of definitely make or break you. Hunter Norwood was able to get 2 sacks on Scar Patterson. Eddie Gage got his 100th interception. So he's the only player in league history that actually was able to get 100 interceptions. I think the next person behind him is Mark Lopez, and I believe he's at like 52 or 56, one of them. But, fantastic game, I believe. Let's see. Iverson Gamble had a good game of pass deflections that kept Teston Parker. He came up with a couple of pass deflections as well. So, I mean, great game all around. Like I said, you cannot take any team too lightly, but when you come in prepared, this is the results that you get. So that was that. Now, Diggy, was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we moved on to week 10?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. So week 10 games goes as follows. So Saturday, March the 18th at 1:00 p.m. Eastern, Houston Headhunters will be taking on the Canton Classics. Must-win game for Canton. So, who do you have?
I think I'm going to go Houston on this one.
Okay. I can definitely see why. But I'm going to go with Canton on this one because I think that this is going to be one of those sneaky wins that they will wind up getting. They always wind up winning when you least expect it. And I do think that even though the odds are stacked up against them in this game, they're going to get this one.
Well, you said it's a must-win for them, so they probably put a little bit extra work in. But, yeah, I'm going to go Houston still.
Gotcha. 1:15 p.m., London will be taking another Motor City. London Knights will be taking another Motor City DAs at Motor City. So this is going to be another great game to watch, another home game. I think I'm actually going to go with Motor City on this one because last season, Andrew really was the only person that was able to stifle London's run. He was the only one that actually handed them the loss during the season. Because I think they went like on 10-0, 11-0 run, and all of a sudden they ran into Motor City and they weren't ready. So I think Drew really has their car. That's why I'm going with Motor City.
Okay, well, this might be the first time we start the show off like this. I'm gonna go back-to-back home losses to start the week, and I'm gonna go London over Motor City.
Okay, sounds good. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, Mexico City Aztecs will be going to Fort Worth, and this will be televised on NLSE. So, also a good game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to go. Yeah, it's a toss-up.
One.
Yeah, definitely had to flip a coin realistically on this one. And it came up Mexico City, so that's what I'm going for.
Fort Worth has really played well. They beat Baltimore this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Fort Worth, but Mexico is, like you said, I'll just play the other side of the coin. I'll go Fort Worth since you went Mexico.
Okay, sounds good. 6:45 p.m. Eastern on Saturday still, March the 18th, the Alamo City Artillery will be taking on the Queen City Corsairs. What do you have?
I think ACA is going to win this game, but I still kind of want to pull for QCC. Some of these games QCC has lost, though, has been like
Very
right
close.
at the end. Yeah, so I'm gonna give QCC another shot. I'm gonna go QCC this week. I mean, let's go QCC.
Got it. And I'm going to go for Alamo City Artillery. It just, they have something special. And because of that fact that you mentioned about Queen City, they kind of found a way to not be so successful in the end. I'm going with Alamo City. 9:00 p.m. Eastern, Florida Storm will be taking on the Jacksonville Kings. And as much as I do want to go for Jacksonville, especially since they're at home, I have to go with Florida because Jacksonville is struggling really badly right
now. I'm with you on this one. I'm gonna go Florida as well.
Okay. 9:15 p.m. Eastern, the Denver Nightwings will be taking on the DC Dragons, where it's going to be a fantastic game. But again, certain teams are kind of struggling a little bit this season. Maybe they changed team builds. Maybe they're just trying something new that's not necessarily working out for them. But I'm going to go with DC Dragons on this. I think they have a more sure footing at this point.
Yeah. Especially coming off a close win. I think they put a little bit more power behind this one. I mean, I think they're doing good things. So I'm gonna go DC.
Indeed. Sunday, March the 19th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, the San Diego Mavericks will be taking on the Baltimore Vultures. In Baltimore. I'm gonna let you go first.
What we saw from San Diego, last week or this week, however you want to word it, isn't the San Diego we've been seeing all season. So I think San Diego is going to put up a tough fight with Baltimore, but I think Baltimore is going to take it home in the end. But I do think we'll be seeing more of the San Diego we've been used to seeing most of the season so far.
Absolutely. They do have the potential. They have the potential. Any team has the potential to beat the other one, but they do have a high-powered offense. But if you're going against this Baltimore defense and the way we know that they can play, I think Baltimore is going to walk away with this win. Maybe it's going to be a close game, but I still think that they're going to walk away with it. 6:45 p.m. Eastern, the Las Vegas Fury will be taking on the Charleston Predators. Who do you have?
This one's kind of tough. I I got friends that play on both teams here, and I love both those people, and but I got to go with Las Vegas on this one. Um, I think they're too hot right now. I'm going Vegas.
I definitely agree. I'm going Vegas as well. Charleston did start off fiery. They started the season off fiery and showed a lot of promise. Since then, it's kind of tapered down. I'm not sure what's going on over there, but I mean, we could definitely use Las Vegas to lose, being Arizona, but I think
Yeah,
Las
that's
Vegas is
another
going to come
reason
out.
I struggled with it because I was like, I mean, they're doing good. Could really use another loss for them.
But yeah,
Yeah.
gotta call it like you see it sometimes. 9 p.m. Eastern. Carolina Skyhawks will be taking on the Arizona Scorpions at Fatality Field. It's going to be a great game. You cannot, I'm going for Arizona, by the way, definitely, but you cannot take Carolina lightly. They are a different team this year. They got some pieces over there. Harish and I believe it's Tori Hanso. They're making um, that team sing right now. So Eddie better be ready because they surely will be.
Yeah. You think it'll come as a shocker when I say I'm going for Arizona too? I mean,
Can't believe you just said
I know.
that. All right, 9:15 p.m. Eastern, the Sioux Falls Sparrows will be taking on the Indianapolis Ramblers. What do you have? Both coming off a win, too.
Yeah. Um, Chad's done some really great things over there with Indy, and I think with like Minnesota being a new franchise coming in. I mean, this is only their second season. He's really going to be something that people don't want to mess with the next season once he can add a few more pieces to it. So, Chad's always got a plan, and with what they pulled off, things are clicking over there. So, I think this is going to be a tough battle for him with Sioux Falls. I think Sioux Falls might squeak it out. I think I'm gonna go with Chad this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm
Actually,
gonna go with Indy.
even though Chad said some questionable things about me lately, he knows what he said. I'm still gonna go with. I'm not gonna hold it against his team. I'm gonna go with Indianapolis. They have been playing lights out as of late. Not sure what button clicked, what happened, but they have been doing really well. And I mean, they have been putting up some major pointage. So unless Sioux Falls defense can step up and stop that high-powered offense now that has developed in Indy, Indy is going to take it. Last game, Impact Monday night game at that, will be, well, for Monday, March the 20th. It's going to be the Los Angeles Vikings taking on the Vancouver Legion, 7 p.m. Eastern. This is going to be a great game. Diggy, who do you have?
I think I'm gonna go with Percoco over there in Vancouver.
LA has been on this win streak. They've won, I think, 2 out of the last 2 games that they played. I think Vancouver is just going to be a little bit too much for them to deal with Percoco and Andy over there on offense and defense. They can really work some magic too. So I'm gonna agree with you. Go for Vancouver.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Lycans have some young talent on that defensive
True.
line as well. So, I mean, they know themselves it's going to take a little bit of time to build some of this stuff up, and they're working with what they've got. And if you've written Monday off as a game Vancouver is going to win it all the way, I'm not even going to tune in. The Lycans have been fun to watch. They're fun to watch.
Yes.
So, I'd still watch it. It's going to be a good game, but I just think, like you said, Vancouver, they've got a little bit more experience on that team, player wise and build wise. So I think it's going to be a tough game for Los Angeles, but it'll be a good one.
Absolutely. I think all these games are going to be absolutely amazing. The later in the season that we get, the more difficult it is to call these games. And please, guys, understand that Diggy and I are just picking. We're not saying that we don't like this team or we don't like you as individuals. Just I feel like I had to say that because some people can be a little sensitive at times. So this is all in fun. Okay. Hot topic question is, what is the best method for recruitment of players? So, Diggy, since you are new to this GM role, what have you found that is beneficial for you to recruit players?
Are we talking recruitment of players within the pro, or are we talking recruitment of players from minor to?
So think of rookie draft. Think of what would you do? How do you
For SFLm coming up for the draft? Okay, not free agency type stuff.
I mean, if you'd like to mention that, you can. But I was just saying players in general.
Oh, okay. Well, let's break it down. I think the most beneficial thing to have to be able to recruit the new talent coming up isn't available, so it's the biggest hindrance, which is not being able to be down in the SFLm and see what's going on. We know we've got people that coach down there, and those teams have somebody on the inside they can kind of look, or like Eddie said on his show, well, I have to ask them for their opinion, or ask the coach on it. Now these people know who I'm kind of looking at. They may know what position you're looking at, but they don't know what people you're looking at.
True.
Right? Hey, Arizona needs tight end, or Arizona needs safety, or Arizona needs a linebacker. They don't know who. There's plenty of them down there until you ask them, what about this guy? And they may like that guy and say, he's not too active, and save it for themselves. I mean, I'm not saying people are doing that. I'm not saying they're not doing that. I'm just saying it's a possibility. Okay. So whether it's a GM or a talent scout, I think at least one person from each team, to be fair across the board, should have at least the read option down there. I mean, Eddie's interviewed plenty of minors last season, throughout the season, that said they don't see a problem with it. There's no issue with them. They don't feel like somebody's looking over their shoulder or watching everything they do. Because let's face it, the general chat argument, I was new. I didn't really get in general chat. I talked in my own locker room. I mean, there's the fact of really know people yet. Two, some people put themselves out there that aren't as in tune with everything and how it works, and some, they don't want to get shut down, or they don't want to get berated or whatever. I mean, we don't really do that here, but it's just the way it is in some other leagues, and people don't want to ask that question, or they just say, well, I'm in the minors, I'm gonna stay down here and chat. And if they don't get up into the pros and general chat, people don't really know what's going on with them. And some teams take anybody. Some teams look at how are they conducting themselves in the chat? How do they speak? Is that something that's going to ride with my team, or is that something that's going to cause a rift in my team? So how's it going to make my organization look? Not just the SFL. We represent the SFL as a team. So we hold a higher standard in the locker room. We would like our people to hold that higher standard within themselves on and off the field. So back to what I was saying, I think we need somebody in the minors. I think it's a moot point to argue anymore, because everybody's kind of voiced their opinion on it, especially from the minors. If the minors don't have an issue, one person designated from each team to be decided. There you go. We're not talking to them. We're not recruiting them, nothing. As far as if I was a pro, in regards to the pros, to me, you can chat with anybody. You can chat with anybody to see where their head's at. Hey, what are you thinking about with your player? Are you planning on staying where you're at this season? Are you planning on retiring next season with the change coming? Are you do you plan on being a lifer with one team over the other. I mean, you can just have small talk chat with people just to see a general idea of, hey, this person might hit free agency, this person not might hit free agency, this person is a lifer, and it cuts down on some work later. I don't think it's stepping on anybody's toes or anything like that. And it's best to have the communication early, like we do. We check within our own team, at a certain point to make plans for the off season. Doing that, then you're already behind the 8 ball when it comes for free agency, and then you're wondering why nobody signs with you, or hey, I've given a verbal to somebody else because the talks happen early. And I don't think that anybody coming into the team to talk to, say, if somebody came to talk to me, or if somebody came to talk to anybody else that's lower on the team, I wouldn't be upset. I mean, it gives them enough time to give us a heads up. Hey, man, I'm kind of pondering something else. I don't want to screw you guys over. Here's a heads up. Do what y'all need to do. You know what I'm saying? So if you've got that mentality of, I don't want my people talking to nobody. Hey, I'm angry because you talked to somebody on my team. You're cutting your heads up later on down the line, and then you're scrambling at the end because now all of a sudden you're surprised by a replacement because they were scared to tell you. And then you end up with no good free agents, or somebody you have to take a big step back and kind of work with and build back up to fix that hole. So it's just best in recruitment to have an open door policy all the way around, whether it's your team or somebody else's. The worst thing anybody can do is say no, right? That didn't hurt my feelings. You said no. I know you're a lifer over there. Cool. I can scratch you off my board. That's it's. I think sometimes people can get too in their feelings on. I can't believe they hit up my locker room, or I can't believe, it's not like that. It's just, that's why some people are scared to say stuff. Hey, I'm thinking about looking over here or looking over there. Oh yeah, well, I'm kind of pondering, looking around, but not with you guys. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. But if you're that comfortable telling me and talking, you need to be able to be that comfortable with your organization and saying, hey, I'm kind of looking around. I know you can't promise to hold a spot for me. You do what you need to do. I do respect your team enough. I do respect the top of the organization enough to give you all a heads up and not screw anybody over, because you can't drop the bomb and be like, well, I'm leaving at the end of the season, the last couple weeks of the season, or right before free agency, and be like, I really like you guys. I really like the organization. I wouldn't, well, if you really felt that way, if you felt that deep about the family and the locker room, then you could have gave us a bigger heads up. So that's my take on it for the recruitment of the minors coming up and free itself. So
good stuff. And I'm sure that there are going to be a lot of GMs and a lot of owners that probably share those same sentiments. It's very simple. For me, when I was GM, it was information and communication. So knowing who you're going after from their build, even if you're talking, and this is overall, because pretty much if you're looking at it from a minor leaguers or a free agents, the first thing that you do is you look at the build to make sure that it's going to resonate with what your coach or your owner is trying to do with the team. Make sure that it fits. Communication. If you are going to people and you're talking to them, it is very important for you to keep that line of communication open. Keep them in the loop of what's going on. Be honest with them. Yes, I'm talking to 2 or 3 different teams at this moment. So I'm trying to make that decision. So in my mind as a GM, I know that you're talking to other people. So in your position, more than likely, I'm going to be talking to other people as well, because I know that you're not just looking for me. You're not just looking at my team like, hey, I want to be an Arizona Scorpion. No, I'm not talking to nobody else. If you're like that, then I'm more apt to pick you up. I'm more apt to tell Eddie, yo, I think that this is going to be a very good selection for us because all he wants to do is be a Scorpion. He's not entertaining anything else. So I know that your dedication, I know where your heart is at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong with anybody wanting to go explore different teams and things of that nature. But like you were saying, make sure that you have the respect of that organization enough to let them know so they can prepare for their future. Another thing when it comes to information is making sure you're asking the right questions during your recruitment process. Make sure that you're finding out more about that player, making sure you're finding out not just the avatar in the field, but the person behind the player. Are they in school? Are they working 60 some odd hours a week? Because you can kind of gauge on what type of player and how active they will be in your locker room. So if you're looking for an active locker room and you want all active players, then you already know, okay, well, this person works this amount of time. So 9 times out of 10, he's probably not going to have the time to do X, Y, and Z. You make sure you ask that to be certain. But then you can also draw your own conclusions from your responses. So I think that those are 2 of the keys that you would need to be successful in the GM role and successful in your recruitment process.
I think another big thing while you're on that on that topic is not making promises you can't keep, or don't be broad with it and say, you know, hey, I have a cornerback slot open, or I have a wide receiver slot. Be like, just be upfront with what it is. Don't beat around the bush for 15, 20 minutes talking to somebody and then be like, well, it's a wide receiver 4. No, I'm not interested. Just be straight up, say, hey, it's a wide receiver 4 spot. This is what you know you're getting into when you're talking to me, just right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? Just upfront with it, instead of building these people up. Oh man, a wide receiver spot. Oh man, I got to take 2 slots back to go over here. How much do I really want to play for this team? And that kind of plays into it too, is, positioning. And there's plenty of 3s or cornerback 4s that are getting plenty of play time and plenty of action. So just because it's a 4 spot, a 3 spot, don't feed too much into that. Look at the team that's offering you the position. Look at what their players are doing. Arguments that the GMs can argue themselves. Yeah, this is what it is, but in our system, these people get looks, these people get interceptions, these people get batted passes and tackles, and like linebacker 3 spots and all that. So depending on run, depends on if it might actually benefit you to move up. So,
but again,
or even back, yeah.
all of that that you just said, communication, asking the right questions, making sure that everybody knows. That's it. Communication, information, it's power. That is how you be successful. So, thank you, Diggy. Let's go ahead and shoot it over to our 4th and Go interviews coming right up. Welcome back to my 4th and Goal interview featuring a good friend of mine, Mr. Bryant Loveless, or BJ Loveless, as we like to call him around here. Yeah. He is the middle linebacker as well as owner of Minnesota Legends, coming off a big win. Brother, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, Ashley. I'm doing all right. I'm doing good, especially after big win today.
I bet you are. I mean, dang, man. Y'all ain't got to do them like that, bro.
Yeah, the Street Busters, baby. You come up to Northwoods. It was Baltimore last season. It's Atlanta this season. Shout out to Atlanta and Baltimore. They both put up fantastic games, man. And, we just came out with a win. This is our 8th straight win at home, I believe. So, a tough place to play, especially now that we're getting snow. So it's like, yeah.
So you think that was the reason why you guys were part of the reason why you guys won?
It was an extra incentive into us winning. I'll say that. That's one of the reasons why we picked Minnesota. Like, oh, wintertime, snow, and then Like from December to like February, nothing, just warm weather. Like, what is this?
Man, Georgia boys are used to the heat, so probably shocked them with that. But yeah, man, that was. If anybody didn't get a chance to watch the game, they definitely should go back and watch it. It was high powered. It was exciting, and once you guys had your foot on the throttle, y'all did not let up. So, I know you worked very closely with the coaching staff, and with Axel. So how much planning did he actually do for this game?
Chris, being the head coach, and Axel, they brainstorm a lot together. Mm-hmm. They run a ton of sims and look at the percentages of things that go right, things that go wrong. They switch plays that aren't so successful against what we see from the other defense. I mean, from the other team's defense, or something that we see that's not effective against their defense, or etc. And I mean, they just work it out, and so far so good. I mean, 6-2 in the driver's seat in the division right now. So I couldn't ask for a better positioning right now as a second-year team at that.
Indeed. That's. Is there particular teams that you guys look forward to playing every season?
Indy.
Should know that.
Indy. I mean, Indy. Sioux Falls was a goal to beat this season, and we play them again at the end of the season, so it isn't over by a long shot. Shout out to Dion and Gabe Manning in Tulsa too. They're rocking it out this year. And coming off this bye, we got them next in Tulsa. So that has high value division implications on the line in that game. So we game planning hard for that one.
Mm-hmm. They cannot take them lightly, especially with that performance that they put up this week.
Gabe Manning with the walk off.
Man, I'm telling you.
The highest paid wide receiver. You leave him. You check him one-on-one, he will make you pay for it. So, and he made Portland pay for a walk-off touchdown.
I mean, it was if you didn't even watch that game, like to see the score did no justice. Like
right, you thought Portland had it in the bag, and then Tulsa, one play, boom, bomb goes off.
For real,
game over.
So what has been some of your favorite teams to watch this season? Because it seems like it's been more competitive this season for some strange reason. Maybe APF knows we're getting ready to switch over to a new game, and it's like, hey, let's just give them one last hurrah.
APF has definitely pulled out some smaller, newer things that, like today, I forgot which teams were playing. I think it was in the Vancouver game where you saw a blocked field goal return for a touchdown. I've personally never seen that happened since I've been here, but I know it's happened. It happened so long ago that when Cam brought it up, it was matter of fact, it was Indy Vancouver. When he brought it up, he was like, last time it happened with a generic player that he blocked the field goal and returned it for a touchdown. So APF is definitely pulling some small things out the bag. Like, why now? Like, now that we're going over to 4K23. But to answer your question, the more interesting teams to watch this season, for me, obviously Arizona, not playing old Homer here, but Arizona's always nice to watch. Atlanta's been entertaining. Indy's been entertaining as much as those Ramblers stomp Indy. They've been entertaining. They've pulled a high octane passing offense. Ryan Roosevelt is almost uncoverable at this point. And my dark horse team, unfortunately to you guys, is Vegas. Vegas has pulled out some tough wins, some hard fought wins on the road, and pulled them out and got victories, and that's got them at the top of the West right now.
Yeah, and it's funny because if they never lost to, or if they never won against Arizona, then things would have been a little bit different. But they have a fantastic ball club over there, and I think the more seasoned coaches are, the more likely they know the tendencies of the other coach because they pay attention to that. And it makes more of a chess match. It makes more of a more interesting game because you don't know who to call, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the further in that we go, you know, it's going to be even harder to call some of these games, you know.
And I think that's got a lot to do with some of the, you know, back and forth the more tenured coaches have with the change to 2K4 is that you lose a bit of that back and forth trying to guess what the other coach is doing, and that chess match essentially is to the extensive power of the chess match, basically like can I beat Mark out on switching to this while he think I'm staying with that, or Eddie may think I'm going with this certain play, these sets of plays, or this certain defense, and I take that out completely. So it's that's where I see the back and forth with tenured coaches being like, 2K4, 2K. I'm sticking to my guns. Some of them are for sure.
Yeah, definitely. What if you decide to become a middle linebacker anyway? Was that something that you played in high school or in you know, back in the day, or is this your favorite position?
I played running back and D end in high school. Two-way gridiron football in Chicago for whatever reason. But I mostly played D end. But middle linebacker, being from Chicago, is one of the most heralded positions, being a Bears fan. Singletaries, Urlachers, Buckuses, Roquan Smiths, the list goes on of great middle linebackers in the city. So I was like, back before it was SFLm, long time ago, I know those SFLmers, boy, it's like a fraternity down there.
It is.
But long before, when we were doing, you guys even had the showcase game.
Yes.
And we didn't even have that. We were just like, we had chat rank. Chat rank determined whether we were going to be silver, base silver contract player, a copper player, or worse. So originally in the draft process, I definitely wanted to play defense. But I was like, do I want to play line? Do I want to settle on linebacker out the gate? No. First, I was looking at defensive back, and it was like, and then a couple of teams have reached out late in the like process, because I came in like midway through the offseason, and this when off season was like 4 to 6 months long between seasons. The number could be wrong, but they were long.
Yes.
And we basically had to choose positions that we wanted to be at, but it was still like up in the air. If a team asked you, hey, you want to play running back, and you were listed as a defensive player or something like that, and you took it, you'd be a running back. Like, I think you were originally a receiver, right?
A receiver or a DN.
Yep. I think we were recruiting you as like a DN in Houston. But of course, you didn't even make it to. No, we were recruiting you as a corner because we wanted a corner, and you didn't even make it that far. But
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, in that process for me, it was like a couple of teams wanted me as a defensive back. One team wanted me as a linebacker, and none of the teams that I actually communicated with drafted me. I had never talked to DeMond or Ryan Michaels ever. The only reason why I got drafted in the second round, because I had a top 15 value.
Okay.
In the whole draft process, I had a top 15 value, but I slipped to the second round because I did not communicate with as many teams as I should have. I was kind of trying to game the system and kind of dictate where I wanted to go. Yeah. And that was the worst decision possible. I'll communicate with these back end teams like Jacksonville at the time, or Tallahassee at the time, Florida, London, or whatever. It was like I was trying to dictate where I wanted to go, and they all passed on me. And I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do? And people were like, oh my God, BJ, I'm so sorry, you're sliding down the board. I say, it is what it is. And then all of a sudden, Quintez gets drafted. And Quintez was like, their second pick comes around, and he tells DeMond, hey, get BJ Loveless. He's really like active. And Quintez stuck his neck out for me. And DeMar reached out to me. Hey, you want to come play in Houston? I said, Houston? I wasn't checking for them. It was like, Houston? I mean, at this point, I ain't got no choice. The clock's ticking and the draft is coming to an end. I better say yes to somebody. So yeah, I said yes to DeMond, and the rest was history.
Wow. And it's crazy because you are like I said, one of the best middle linebackers in the league, period. And for you not to be one of those first round draft picks actually says something too. You don't have to go in the first round to be effective, to be
absolutely not
go deep into the league. And now you're an owner, you know? So it's crazy how things work out sometimes. So before I get into my ownership questions, top 10 teams are Atlanta. Well, this is as of right now. I'm sure these has changed.
It's flipped, a little bit.
So, but we got Atlanta, Arizona, Baltimore, Las Vegas, Mexico City, Minnesota, San Diego, Tulsa, Carolina, and Fort Worth. Are there any teams in that I just named that you are surprised to actually be in the top 10? Or were you expecting these teams to be there?
Carolina's always a team we're all rooting for year after year. They're so close. They're only so far away. They haven't been to the playoffs in a long time. Like we're talking pre-portal, pre-progression era, I believe. Like, no, it was on par with progression era. It's like definitely pre-portal. Like season 11 might have been the last time, or season 10 might have been the last. And since then, and all the iterations of their team and the people they've brought in and out, year after year, people have rooted for them. Come on, Carolina, you guys you have it. You have the team, the camaraderie, and for season, team were constantly hoping that Carolina got out of it and at least got to the playoffs. Carolina has surprised me a bit, and Tulsa hanging so close onto the division has definitely surprised me, and how they've changed how they do their pass, how their passing attack has changed a bit from previous seasons where they've gone away from JQ just throwing interceptions, and they've gone to a more low risk, balanced attack, but they still have some over the top stuff for his receivers. And Doug Brown is awesome as a running back now, as a lot of people. That's what when you draft somebody as a number one pick, obviously in SFL terms, you want a personality and you want a guy that's good for your locker room, good for your culture and things like that. And at the time when they drafted Doug Brown, and his involvement in the league at the time was big, and that was a big addition to a squad that didn't really have a big identity. And now that his player is doing what you expect a number one draft pick to do, it's amazing for that franchise. Indeed. And they're a bit of a surprise. Like, holy crap, they're winning games and they're bashing people right now. So those are my two surprises for sure.
Okay, little quick fire thing for you. Pacific Division. Now I want to know, who do you think is going to wind up taking the division? In your opinion, of course.
The Pacific?
Yeah. So you got Vancouver, you got Portland, you have Seattle, and you have LA.
I mean, Seattle's giving teams tough breaks each and every week. They just aren't coming up with victories. That happens. LA's had a rough start, but they swung back the last 2 weeks. But it's at this point, it's more so Vancouver's division to lose.
Okay.
They're in the driver's seat, but they're losing games. Portland's losing games, so it's like Vancouver's trying to lose it for Portland to win it, and I'm gonna say Vancouver pulls this out.
Okay.
In the Pacific.
Yeah, that's close. Very close between those two. Another close division, the West: Arizona, Las Vegas, San Diego, and Denver.
I'm Eddie. I ain't gonna let Eddie kill me at the convention, so I'm rolling with it because I know he said I sent the goons after him. last week. So no, I'm gonna stick with Arizona by a hair though, because Vegas coming. Vegas is it. That
No
showdown. That second game showdown between Vegas and Arizona is going to be must watch television.
Indeed.
That game better be flexed on the TV. I don't know, because y'all got a couple of down the pipe that is like Cam's gonna have to put you guys on television.
It's going to be interesting for sure. I mean, it's crazy, but like I said, more competitive. So, good football.
Absolutely.
South, Mexico City, Fort Worth, Alamo City, and Houston.
Fort Worth, Alamo. Fort Worth has been playing some better. Last season and this season, they played a little bit better, a lot better football, and then they beat Baltimore this year. Yeah. So if they can go half and half the rest of the way, and that strength of victory, because how many wins do they have currently? Because I know they may be on bye or they play Sunday.
Right now, I'm seeing 4-2. I'm not sure if this has been updated, through this week as of yet. But they're at 4-2.
They definitely haven't played yet, but they have a victory that boosts their strength of victory up. But Ramos is one of those coaches that can maximize the effort of his players, no matter how young or how big of vets they are. Losing Mike Daggs was a hitch in the road, and losing Matt Wilson was a big loss. Rest in peace. But he took a hitch in the road the first couple of weeks, and he has Sipe and those guys moving like it was. He has them going like a well-oiled machine again. So it's like, do you doubt Ramos in Mexico City to take that division at this point? It's tough, but the South is tough. Not as tough as it was last year, because last season it was murderer's row.
Right.
South last season, but right now it's looking like it's Mexico City division to win still.
Gotcha. London Knights, Canton, Motor City V8s, and Queen City are making up the North. Who do you think is going to take care?
The dumpster fire division. Jesus Christ. Canton can't score, unfortunately. That vaulted defense got kind of toasted once they started playing elite teams, and when you can't outscore your opponent, you in trouble in this league. Especially when you can't score more than 20. But hopefully they can turn it around and have a late surge at the end of the season to at least make it competitive. Because right now it's London's division to lose, and I don't think Liam is incompetent enough to just get his division away like that. So Queen City's a rebuilding situation that is just, they're just hurting for talent at this point. Like, they're struggling. And Motor City still experimenting. They don't have an identity just yet, and it's hurting them a bit on both sides of the ball. They have some. Motor City has some high performing players like King Rashid, Guy Clausen, that you almost feel bad because they have excellent performances, individual performances, and they can't come away with wins, and that stinks for them. And it's like, damn, you would want those players to see more wins out of that situation, but they can turn it around with a couple of changes. But 2K4 is coming, so you never know what the future of that franchise. It's definitely one of the more interesting futures to look forward to with that franchise going into the new engine.
Indeed. In the East, Atlanta, Louisiana, Florida,
Jacksonville is one trick pony. They hurting right now. Teams have caught on, and I've always looked at their bills like they need a little bit more and they could be they have the potential to be a powerhouse with a little bit more behind those builds and things of that nature. But they're so far behind the pony. It's like, get ready for 2K4 at this point. Same thing with because it's Jacksonville, Florida. Florida can still come. Florida got to win out though, and Florida got a tough schedule. Louisiana's faltering a bit. They got to turn it around. But that division belongs to Atlanta unless Atlanta has an epic collapse. They got to like lose out. And I don't think that's they got a tough back end of their schedule, but they're not going to lose out. So Atlanta's the king of that division this season.
Okay. Atlantic, Baltimore, Carolina, DC, and Charleston.
Ooh, one of my surprises, Carolina is sitting in the second place, I believe.
Yes, they are.
I know they lost today, and DC is on the comeback. They railing off a couple wins, and they squeaking out some wins. And hey, can't never count those Dragons out. Charleston's going through rebuild and trying to find their identity for the future. And Baltimore, the king until they ain't. So somebody dethrone them. Teams have come close. Arizona is one of them. Y'all get a crack at them, and y'all get a crack at them in the season soon. So that's another game that everybody's going to be tuning into. Like, it'd have been nice to see both of y'all undefeated in that game, though. Baltimore AZ in a championship rematch, both undefeated teams. Oh my God, I could imagine the sleepless nights Eddie would have had going into that game. He's still gonna have sleepless nights going into that game, but it's gonna be something different.
He has sleepless nights no matter who we play. No matter who we play.
Oh man.
Central Division: Force, Minnesota Legends, Tulsa, Indianapolis, and Sioux Falls.
This division, obviously, I'm gonna say my team is gonna win the division, but this division is a lot closer than I thought it would have been this season. It is tooth and nail. It's not the North, and that's what we kind of wanted to establish the division as a black and blue division for real. Like, and it's a black and blue division. It's some tight fuck contests. Us and Indy are always a barn burner. It lives up to the rivalry so far. 3 games in, it lives up to the rivalry. We up 2-1. Shout out to Chad and Adam and those guys. But we up 2-1 for now. But it's looking to be an extensive rivalry to move forward. Sioux Falls is not in the situation they were in last season. But they're always a headache to anybody for whatever reason, for every reason in the world. They're a headache every out. They win some and they lose some, but they're a headache every time they play everybody. So they were early in the season when we played them and beat them. It was a needed win early in the season. So we play them again at last week of the season, and we looked to pull that one out too. So, and then Indy's woken up, high firepower offense now. It's like their running back is struggling, but they don't need him at this point.
Right?
Ryan Roosevelt is smoking people right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's out of nowhere. It's almost like they hit this switch. And it's like, oh, okay, this is it right here.
Yeah, that's Chad throwing his spin on the passing game, because it looks a lot like Vin Callier in London when Chad was in London for sure.
Good point.
So it's like, Ryan Roosevelt is a demon right now. So Indy's coming, and Tulsa's on the back of our necks. I was praying they lost to Portland. That walk off touchdown, I was like,
like classic, man.
I
know that's right.
So the heat continues. We go into a bye, but we cannot rest on anything. But I got Minnesota taking the division. I have full faith in my crew to get this job done and finish it out.
Okay. I would like for you to give me your account because you've been on Houston, you've been with the Scorpions, and you're now with Minnesota. So, what?
You missed one. I was with Queen City for 2 seasons too.
Oh yeah, that's right, Queen City too. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting question. The coaches, give me your take on each coach that you played for.
God damn, Ashley. Oh, I would get some hateful fucking views in the morning. Ooh, Jesus Christ. Ooh,
good thing this ain't out until Thursday. You good.
Ooh, Lord. Oh, man. Yo, oof. Okay,
ain't that bad, man.
That's a heat seeker question there. Oh my God. Oof. I need every owner and coach to get this question next on every episode. But I've definitely been with a lot of coaches, and I'll start in Houston. Damon and Eddie. Obviously, Eddie's changed a lot since he was the DC in Houston. Very aggressive, very blitz heavy. He was balls to the wall. He's my French for sure, defensive wise, but very intelligent defensively. Damon is air it out, run the ball. His balance of his philosophy changes from week to week. That running game back then was official. That running game back then was official, but it was fun though back then though for sure. Damon and them they were working their tails off to try to get us wins, man. And that last season was a miracle season. Us getting into the playoffs with 5 wins, but the SOV that we had, I know Eddie and Damon brought it up, that we beat Alaska. I think it was Alaska, Tallahassee. I can't remember. It was Mexico City, Chicago, Alaska, and somebody else. And those 4 wins got us into the playoffs on the back end. And we got a first round victory in beating Chicago, and then ran into Denver and they killed us. Vega as a coach. Man, I sometimes I want him to come back to combat with Baltimore sometimes, but I'll be like, man, we don't want that headache in the league no more. But he was a great coach, man. But that was Damon and Eddie together, man. They I mean, obviously every tandem is going to have their differences, but they worked well together, man. It had some fun times with that group in Houston. Now in Arizona with Eddie experimenting with offense, him learning offense for the first time was a lot of frustrating nights for my boy. Like, cause I walked over to Arizona from the ground up, and we had 4 wins that season actually.
Yeah,
the first season,
4 and 8.
We were strong. We had the defense. The defense was in place, but him trying to figure out what to do with that offense was rough. But it grew. I look back at those teams then and look at his offense now as night and day. And obviously he had a bunch of coordinators in between and all the and like Kanye, and Bovine, and like then he finally took it over, and it was like he was learning on the job, and you could tell that some days it would go how he wanted, and then the other days it would frustrate him because he'd be like, what in the hell is going on? But Eddie's got a great point. No one works harder than him in coaching in this league. And it's changed drastically over the last 2 seasons. Like something finally clicked. And now he can get his offense to do just about anything. And that shows the record that you guys have now and last season for sure. And getting to the championship. That was the extra thing y'all needed to get over that hump to get to the championship. So Eddie was playing with y'all was always fun. But I moved on to further my resume to get into ownership, and Queen City came into the picture. Queen City was a situation where it was turnover. Everything was getting turned over. We brought in new coach. Eric brought in new coaches, new GMs. I was the GM. He brought in Chris Komisak, somebody who was relatively new to the league. He had a little experience in Fort Worth, and he was recommended by former Corsairs and Stephen Hacker and Nacho. And he was recommended to us like, hey, this guy's getting good at coaching. Give him a shot. And he got a shot, and we brought in Jay Hayden as a scout. And that first season was like magical because everything worked. The deal was perfect. It was almost right on par with everything. Everything went exactly how we wanted it. Then Jay left for Arizona. The second season, everything fell apart. We couldn't get that team build. We changed the team build up a bit, and nothing was the same. That one little tweak can ruin something really special, and nothing went right that season. I think we won maybe 4 games in the second, coming from 8-4 and then going 4-8. It was a big shock to the system. And then expansion happened. Then everything kind of fell apart with that situation. And I hate it for those guys because they haven't rebounded from it. It's only got progressively worse. And it sucks for that group because we had a good group. We had a good group of Bills. It wasn't relatively active as some of the other places I've been, but it was something different that we feel like we didn't get the maximum amount of return from. Like we missed out on something that could have, if we'd have did something another way, things would have been a bit different.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I kind of regret about leaving Queen City is that I didn't get what I was totally looking for out of that. Chris as a coach he's an eccentric man. Dude is really cerebral about his thought processes and how he game plans in the league and his, methods of offense to defense, and that's why I went and got him again. I know he took a season off after burnout after that last season because everything fell on him in Queen City, and it was a burnout. And he was like, let me step back off the coaching for a season, and he went off to Canton to help over there or just be a player and enjoy the process for a while.
Right.
And then me and him being really close to Queen City, and I had been keeping tabs on him, and I'm like, hey, what you think about coming over here to Minnesota to coach after I got the team? And we had an 8-4 season, and I was like, hey, I need a fullback. First of all, I need a fullback. And what you think about just coaching offense? Obviously, you didn't have the help you needed in Queen City. You felt like, I got a bunch of guys over here willing to help. It won't be nearly as hard on you as it was in Queen City. Come over here, help us out. Let's run this thing back, because I think I had one of the highest retention rates in the SFL this past offseason. I only replaced one player, and I didn't need to draft anybody. So, and Chris has hit the ground. Him and Axel have hit the ground running. Axel was gracious enough to say, hey, offense may not be my forte, but I'm getting a hang on this defensive thing. So he stepped down as offensive coordinator and moved into the DC slot. And him and Chris worked like clockwork with our scouts and guys like and all those guys. And only other combo I felt like that I've seen, Eddie and Demond work really well together. Jay and Chris for that season worked really, really well together. It was like we had a running joke in Queen City that they were Buzz and Woody. and it's if you've seen a picture of Chris, he looks like Buzz Lightyear, and Jay's a small dude, so he has like the Woody frame. So that was the running joke at Clean City. They were Buzz and Woody. It was funny. They worked really, really, really well together. Unfortunately, we only got one season out of that. We wanted more, but we obviously only got one season out of that. And then Chris and Axel, night and day. It's like day to day. It's like perfect. It's a match made in heaven almost.
Well, that's a good thing, you know. When you're able to go out and explore different teams, and when you go and experience different coaching, you get a different perspective of the league altogether, you know. But BJ, tell me, why do you stay? Why do you stay in the league?
One is fun. Two, I stay because SFL kind of saved me in a way. When I joined SFL, I was in a really dark spot after I lost my dad. And it kept me going. It kept me occupied while I was going through the grieving process. And more and more as days went on, it grew on me, and it became more of an everyday routine. It became a part of the routine. Being in Discord, chatting it up, talking to people, laughing, joking, talking about football. It became everyday life for me at that point. A part of my everyday life, at least. So could I go look up and leave tomorrow? It'd probably be really hard. As crazy as I talk sometimes, and and sometimes I'll be like, man, screw all this, but I can't do it. I can't just up and leave it like that. It's a part of me now. It's like it saved me from a dark spot at a couple times.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, though. I mean, when I lost my dad, you know, I did have that grieving process, but I knew he was leaving, you know, and I knew he was suffering too. But being in the league definitely helped me to cope.
Yeah, in a weird way, it kept you distracted.
Right.
So it's like, and I thank the SFL for that, because man, like if I was to dwell in that grieving and that sorrow and that mourning so much, it sucks. Indeed. And I owe everything to the SFL for that, because it kept me out of that mindset.
Mind frame. Right.
Yeah.
Indeed, man. It's a lot of things for a lot of people, but I think the most important thing is that it's family. You know, it is family that you probably have never met. You probably will never meet some of them, you know, but you know, when you can just turn on your phone, or you can turn on your laptop or your computer and just hook up with your boys,
and be lost for hours, pretty much.
Yeah, a safe escapism, I should say, because you could be out there causing trouble. You could be out there doing some stuff you're not supposed to be doing.
And Lord knows I don't need to go back out there.
No, you don't. Stay right where you at.
Oh my God.
But so one more thing before I go to the fun question. Okay. As you know, we are moving to a different game, an older game. And people have been vocal about it, some with it, some without it. You guys actually put up a beautiful stadium. You guys had a fantastic job with y'all stadium, with the customizations and everything. So my question to you is, you're welcome. This eventually Cam wants to have his own game, period. You know? And I think that personally, with us moving to this particular game, this would kind of give him the
proof of concept.
Right, exactly. So, what are your thoughts on this new game, and the possibility of what it could do for us in the future?
Like I said, it's a great proof of concept with all of our branding, the idea of teams' individual, you know, thought processes on their vision of what their franchise would look like, what it would stand for, and things of that nature. Having an SFL licensing in the game in general, in the future, and now technically because we're putting it in ourselves, is great for the league. And ultimately, a lot of people are hung up on the coaching process. Some are hung up on the graphic downgrade. The graphic downgrade doesn't bother me that much as long as the game doesn't make dumb decisions. AI, as long as it's competitively football, I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
So
quarterback's not throwing 100 interceptions.
What I like more of a high octane offense sometimes when I watch some of the exhibitions, yeah. But do we benefit from like not so many interceptions? Absolutely, because then all the interceptions make people bring up crazy things like, "Oh, the game's broken." No, it's just the logic of that game.
Mm-hmm. Or it could have been another coach. It could have been that particular coach just had a better game plan to be able to. And then if we throw anywhere in your vicinity, the ball coming anywhere in your vicinity. All right, no.
It's going to the ground because I'm not catching it. I do have a pick six though. So
hey, you got more than some people.
I know, right?
But that's good stuff. That's a good way, a positive way of looking at it. Fun questions. So
let's get it.
You are handed a plane ticket to go anywhere in the world. Where are you going and why?
Ooh, the UK.
Ooh, okay.
I've always wanted to go like to London and visit that portion of the world.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. You can get some fish and chips. Maybe hook up with Liam while you're over there. Catch a soccer game. Well, they call it football over there.
Football over there.
Football.
Yeah, football over there. Yeah, yeah. I have other British friends outside of SFL and stuff too.
Cool.
So yeah, the UK is definitely on my bucket list for sure.
Nice. Love to hear it. If money was not a factor, what would you spend your time doing right now?
Like in what way? Like,
so if you wanted to travel the world or if you wanted to invest in something and money was no factor, what would you be doing?
I'd be trying to get in the ownership group in a real life sports team.
Oh.
At some point. Or something of that magnitude, or own a sports franchise, whether it be I'm really like, I love football and I love like baseball is my baby, but for some reason I want to own a basketball team. It's like, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. It's basketball. The strategy behind basketball always excites me, but like to play on the court and LeBron and that. But that's me as a Bulls fan. But the strategy behind basketball is always interested me and always kept my attention. So owning a basketball franchise, whether it be WNBA, NBA, overseas, or something like that, would probably be one of my or invest in like real estate or something.
Okay.
Or like restaurant. I like food and I like cooking. So
there you go. Favorite thing to cook?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I mean, you in Chicago, so technically
I don't have to cook. But
so Italian beefs and pizzas all day.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm a taco. I like Mexican cuisine. I mean, my girlfriend's Mexican, so I'm a taco person, but that's simple. Like I made pinto beans and rice today, and cornbread. That's down south stuff, but
yes,
I like to cook, so it's just about anything. Nothing really in particular, but like my favorite go-to is tacos always.
You know, one of the most interesting tacos, just to kind of throw things off a little bit, but one of the most interesting tacos that I've had was a lingua, which is the cow tongue. Cow tongue,
yeah, that's really, really weird.
It is, but the meat is so
tender.
Tender, right? Yeah. Or the cheeks. I don't know if you ever had the cheeks. Too.
I've heard that. I've not dove into that, but I did unknowingly have lingua taco, and it wasn't bad. But you know that saying of don't tell me what I'm eating sometimes. Like, you're going to feed it to me and it's something that you know I wouldn't like.
Don't tell me.
Don't tell me. If it's good and it's like I'm enjoying it, don't tell me. Because if you gave me a rat burger or something like that, like, shout out to Demolition Man, if you ever watched that movie, when they went down the sewers and she fed him a rat burger, Sylvester Stallone a rat burger.
No,
because they were like, if you've ever seen Demolition Man, they go down. It's like it's a post-apocalyptic movie. Mm-hmm. So like, they go down in the sewers and people are still living like we do down there, like we live today. They're mm-hmm. trying to keep that away from high society, basically. Mm-hmm. So they go to he's from the past, so he's like from 1995. He's frozen and he gets woken up in 2032. So life as he know it is totally different. But there's a society of people living in the sewers trying to live like we used to. They're olden ways. So they go down there as police to go catch a killer, basically. And like, he's like stuck in it. He's like, oh my God, this is like home. And a lady is like cooking and she's fixing she's making a burger. And he's like, oh, what's that, a burger? And his partners are looking around like, bro, I don't see no cows down here. and he's like, what is this? And she say, rat. It's a rat burger. He chewed it. He was like, ain't that bad. He questioned it for. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
You gotta check it out, man.
If you can find it, it's probably on HBO. Last time I checked, it was on HBO somewhere. Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone, and Wesley Snipes.
Dope. Okay.
It's classic movie. I love it. I've watched it maybe a billion times. But nice. Yeah, it's like, don't tell me what I'm eating. if you see I'm enjoying it, don't tell me. I don't.
Okay. Noted, by the way. So you were on a deserted island and you only have 3 things with you. What are those 3 things?
A house.
Okay. Electricity.
Okay. And my girlfriend. That's a vacation at that point. It's house. I got a house on the beach.
There you
go. I don't know when I'm leaving. But we good. We got oceanfront view property. I don't know when we leaving, but at least we comfortable while we here. We ain't in the elements. We got electricity. Hey, I'll take it. Cause I ain't being stuck in the dark. I'm sorry.
Gotcha. Would you rather be without AC or without heat?
Without heat. I cannot be hot. Oh my God. Like, miserable. I've been without heat before, and you can always get warmer. You cannot. It's harder to get cool.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I really do.
You can bundle up, put layers on.
Yeah.
Cuddle up next to somebody. You can get warmer.
Start a fire. Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to get cool.
Yeah, it's very true. What is one of the most embarrassing things you've ever done?
Ooh. Most embarrassing.
Yeah.
I've tripped upstairs. I'm very clumsy like that. Yeah, right. Tripped upstairs. Yeah, like not tripped down. Everybody trips down. I just tripped upstairs.
You got to be different always, don't
you? Yeah. Probably something drunk. Probably a couple of times. I got a story of being drunk at a party. And hood parties could be anywhere. And I'm drinking. No, at this point I'm drunk. I'm like, underage drinking is bad, folks. I was like 18. Don't do it. And I'm slamming vodka with my friends, and they just hanging out. In hood parties, anything becomes a chair. Crates, stools, boxes, benches, wheelchairs. Anything becomes a seat. So I decide it's the middle of June. It's hot. I sit on a milk crate. I'm drunk as a skunk, first of all. Drunk as a skunk. I'm like 18, 19 years old. Drunk as a skunk. I decided to sit on a milk crate by the window. Just, catch a breeze. It's hot. You drink it. Obviously, your temperature is going to go up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I'm sitting there, and on wood, anything on wooden floors is going to move. It's going to slide if any pressure is applied to it. So, of course, I'm drinking. And most people, when they drink, they're going to get a little sleepy, get a little hazy-eyed, get the dozing off. And let me remind you, it's the music is blasting. So, it's music blasting. It's about 25 people in the room. People playing cards, people drinking, people having a good time. But I'm sitting on the milk crate, vibing to the music. And you drunk when you can't hear what the music is saying, but you can feel the bass of the music. And I'm by the window, and that breeze catch me when you're drinking. That breeze caught me. The breeze caught me, and I nodded off. And before I knew it, I lost control of the crate underneath me, and that bad boy slid across the room, and I hit the floor. Boom! Mm-mm. One of my big homies got, and I'm right down the street from my house, and I'm drunk, like I said, drunk as a skunk. He scoops me up. He's like, "All right, B, time to go. Time to get you to the crib." He walks me to my crib, drunk as a skunk. But when I tell you that crate, I saw the crate fly. It flew about 15 feet. Like that's how much focus and pressure I was putting into that crate on that hardwood. And that bad boy slid. It said, boom! To hit I just hit the floor. I said, damn.
Oh man, no.
And all I could see was them just busting up laughing. Oh. I didn't care. I had a good time, but that's one of them. That's hilarious.
Nuts, man. So what was the craziest thing you ever?
The craziest thing I've ever done?
Mm-hmm. Or one of the craziest things. Because I'm sure,
I've done some crazy shit. Me as a teenager, boy, I was a mess. Probably jumping out of somebody's daughter's window as they walk into the house. Oh my God! I was terrible. I was terrible. I was terrible. And I'm not tall at all. I'm like 5'6", bro. Like if that, and I'm jumping out of somebody's window as they parents coming in the house. Like, yeah, like, and gone with the wind though.
I bet
feet ain't touching the floor. Feet ain't touching the floor.
You put a road runner.
me, gone. Me.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh, I love it. So as a child, what was something that you were fearful of, but that you now know that was just a total waste of time to be fearful of?
The dark.
Right. I think that's a lot of people.
The dark. It's like obviously your mind plays tricks on you, even to this day, but as a kid, you saw all kinds of things, shapes, figures, whatever in the dark, and petrified. It's like, it's just the dark.
Okay.
So the dark is definitely probably the silliest thing I've been afraid of.
Okay. While traveling, would you rather take a flight everywhere you go or drive everywhere you go?
Oof. Maybe 5 years ago, I was like, drive everywhere. Road trips are cool, but man, being a coach and being a wrestling like coach and guardian and doing that and going all around the country in a car with preteens and kids,
yeah,
for months at a time, murder. No, sir, not no more. I can't stand to be in the car longer than 3 hours at this point. Get on a plane. I make enough money. Get on a plane, fly, get the fuck out of there. Arrive to the destination and chill.
Right.
Because traveling everybody say they love traveling, but traveling from destination to destination will wear you out. God bless Eddie for being an international engineer, bro. and flying all around the country and going to work.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And running stems at that. Like, well, no, absolutely not.
Out of hotels, hotels, bro.
Man.
And TSA checking that Xbox. Oh God. God bless Eddie, man, in so many ways, bro. Because he did things that people wouldn't even take the time to think of doing.
Right. You know what? We're gonna hang this up. Yeah.
Right.
Gave up.
Yeah. Eddie, only person I feel like got more dedication and dedication to anything is Cam, because Cam's integrity to the league and consistency, and because Cam could have said 10 seasons ago, screw it, I don't want to do this for this community anymore. You know how many hours a day he sacrifices just to put on game? Putting on games is probably the easiest part.
Yeah.
Putting playbooks together for where did we start? 21. When I got here, what was it, 21? Then it became 24 and 28, and that's the most tedious part. And tedious shit wears on you after a while.
Indeed.
And for him to keep his integrity and but this is also his creation and his livelihood too. But at the same time, with his skill set, Cam could hang this up tomorrow and say, "Oh, bye, I'll go be with his track record now in live television and things of that nature." He can hang this all up and say, "Oh, bye, I'll go be the program director or showrunner for some TV station in Arkansas or Louisiana or Texas or East Bumblefoot, New Jersey." Easy. So I'm like, no, only person that I feel like their commitment, integrity, and is Cam. That's the only one that I feel like can compete with Eddie. Even though I would love to see, for one season, I would love to see Cam say, put commissioner on hold. I'm a coach.
Oh, that'd be dope. Oh, that'd be dope. But then who would be the commissioner then?
There's like I said, nobody can compete with his integrity and his consistency. Because boy, I know some days he'd be like, "Man, F this."
Yeah, like I'm ready to go hang it up. Let me go sit down somewhere, take some time off for myself.
Man, and he puts us in front of himself so much. You can just tell.
Indeed.
But, yeah, like
if you could go and travel, if you had a time machine, and if you could travel to the future or travel back to the past, which one would you do and why?
I pretty much know everything that needs to know about the past, or what I want to know about I want to move forward and see what's to come.
Okay.
Because I can't. You already said I couldn't go back. I've heard you say before, you can't go back in the past and change anything. So it's like, what am I going back to look at people for? Like, I know what you look like. I'm gonna go forward and see what's to come. Like, send me forward 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, and let's see where society is at that point.
Okay. If you can be a member of any fictional family, who would it be? I'm gonna say my favorite sitcom family is definitely the Winslows. Family Matters. Yeah. But I'm going to say the fictitious family I want to be a part of. I'm gonna give you two, and it's gonna really throw you off because you would not expect this from me. One would be the Skywalkers from Star Wars. That's one. Okay. Star Wars is elite. Two would be the Addams family. I don't know why Addams family popped up in my head first.
The Addams family is one of my favorite IPs in history. One of my favorite movies of all time. The Addams family. For some reason, like Raul Julia in the movies as Gomez was like one of the coolest human beings on the planet. So Addams family is definitely one of my two for sure.
Good deal, man. That's actually a good one. I haven't had anybody say that, so that's dope. I like that. Excuse me. What's one of your proudest moments ever?
Graduating college.
Nice.
Graduating college, graduating broadcasting school was probably, yeah.
I wonder if anybody knew that. Uh-oh.
You
All right, so let's see. What was another one I wanted to ask you? If you had a boat and you were traveling around the world, what would you name your boat?
This is such a corny answer, but it's got to be Jenny.
Jenny? Oh,
yeah,
like Forrest Gump, Jenny?
Yes, obviously. But other than Jenny, it was that's a good one. I think I'll stick with Jenny because it's just funny to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Jenny will work.
So if you let me see, what was the other one I had for you? It was another one I had that was really dope. If there was like an announcement that could be made, that you can make one announcement for the entire world to hear, what would that announcement be?
Like, I can make anything come true, or
you can just, what you're making an announcement, so you're saying something to the entire world that everybody can hear. What would you say?
That's a good one. We end in poverty, baby. Poverty's over. Everybody rich. Everybody can live how they want to. Free healthcare, we end in poverty at that point.
Okay, I like that. Because really, the planet is big enough so nobody has to suffer. But
right.
That's a whole nother thing. Whole nother
right.
topic. Snow or heat?
Snow. I'm a December baby, so snow.
Yeah, is that why you're in Chicago still? Because those winters, man, I've heard.
Yeah, they all right. They're definitely not for the weak. I've lived, and you got to think about all the places I've lived. I lived in Illinois and Minnesota, so two of the coldest places on the planet. But Minnesota don't get as cold as it do here. It's just more snow.
Got it.
But they don't have that wind shield like we do here in Chicago. But I've also thought about dry heat. Like dry heat is a lot better than humidity. Humidity sucks. Being in Florida, taking vacations in Florida in the middle of the summer, you can barely breathe in that thick ass air. Now, I enjoy Vegas. Vegas is one of my favorite places to go on the planet. It is what it is. I'm a lot more comfortable in dry heat than I am humidity. So if I was to go heat, I would go west for sure. But I definitely prefer the snow. I may sound crazy as hell, but I love the snow.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. An autobiography is being written about your life. What is the title?
There you have it.
There you have it.
Yep, because I'm a very outspoken person. So whatever happened in my life, I'm very bold and I'm very outspoken. So at the end of it, there you have it. There it is.
Okay. So if there was a theme song that could be playing every time you walked outside.
Oh man, I got a good one for you.
Okay.
If you ain't never heard this song, well, I'm sure you probably heard this song. If you're a James Brown fan,
yeah.
The Boss from Black Caesar,
Yes. Nice. That's a good one.
That's a classic.
That's a good one. That's a classic for real. Nice.
Paid the cost to be the boss.
Mm-hmm.
And with those trumpets playing, you can only bounce to that walking down the street.
I think you're the first person to actually mention some James Brown. That's some good stuff right there. If a movie is being made about your life, who is playing you?
I have a baby face. So the one that has always been brought up to me when he first came out, when I was maybe in like late high school, early college when he came out. Bruno Mars, a lot of people were like, Bruno Mars, you look like Bruno Mars, like babyface Bruno Mars before Silk Sonic and stuff like that. Babyface Bruno Mars would probably be the one to play me.
Dope.
Yeah.
I'll go watch it then too, because I love Bruno.
He's a trip, but he's a hell of an entertainer and performer now.
Definitely. I love musicians and how they can just, especially when you play your own instruments. Oh, that's one in a million. What's another one too? Oh, if you can have dinner with anyone that is living or not living with us, famous or not famous, who would it be and why?
Not living, it obviously would be my dad. I would give anything for another day, hour, just to, talk to him and tell him he was right about a bunch of stuff, or get more advice, or just laugh with him one more time. So that's always it. Living and famous, Jim Carrey.
Really?
Jim Carrey is probably my favorite comedian of all time. Like comedic timing, and he's a really eccentric dude too. Like if you watch him if you look at his stuff on Twitter, or like some of the stuff he comes out in the press with now that he's not so much in the forefront on the acting side as much anymore, he's really at the front line on a lot of like problems in the world, and he's got a really, really extensive outlook on certain things in the world, and I would definitely benefit from like an hour or two with Jim Carrey, in my opinion.
Okay. Good stuff. You're the first person to mention that too. If you can only eat one meal for the rest of your life,
tacos. Tacos. You can switch tacos up a lot of ways. You can make just about anything into a taco for sure. Tacos.
Okay, good one. Last two questions for you. What was the best television show ever made in your opinion? And then what was the worst?
The best? Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And second would probably be The Wire is
really. Is The Wire better than Game of Thrones?
To me, no, but to me, no, because Game of Thrones is different psychological, but The Wire is like 1B to me. But I know a lot of people are going to cut my head off about that, but Game of Thrones is the begin all end all to television for me. Yellowstone is creeping up there though.
I don't think I know about Yellowstone.
Kevin Costner and Yellowstone's creeping up there for me.
Okay.
Breaking Bad was that. Sopranos was that for me as well. But Yellowstone is creeping up in the ranks for me. Really good cowboy. It's like, and you wouldn't think like, oh, cowboy, like farming, like it, and they're into so much stuff in like Montana, and like it. If you got Peacock, go watch it. The first 4 seasons is on there. It's really, it'll hook you. Like there's no way these farmers are fighting over this land in today's time about this money and land, but that's a whole different thing. It's money, land, and the politics of that is crazy. But it's definitely creeping up. Their whole little world of their shows is creeping up there for me. Worst television shows of all time? Oof. Oof. Man. Ooh. It had to be something on CBS. CBS got a lot of one-off crap that they've put out over the last 30. Like, man, it's some stuff. It's some stuff out there that like CBS and Fox is real good for bringing stuff on, and you be like, man, this looks like it could be really, really good. Then they gone. Like, you be like, man, like what? Like,
so they didn't finish the season now. Just go ahead, just cut this.
Just cut it. Just cut bait. Even though I felt like it had funny moments, this is the one that's popping in my head for some whatever reason. Mike Epps' Uncle Buck.
Oh, see,
it was fun. It had funny moments, but again, it didn't hit everywhere. Yeah. So it was like, get out of here. It's over with. A good question you should ask is, what is something that was prematurely canceled that you could get back as far as TV shows?
What do you think?
Girl Meets World, without a doubt. With the
spinoff of Boy Meets World.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. I remember they canceled it though.
They canceled it like 4 seasons, and it was great. And they were crying. People were crying for like Netflix to pick it up, and Disney let it go. It was really exactly right before Disney Plus launched. They cut it, and it was like, man, people were pissed, and I was one of them. Like,
did they give a reason why, or did something happen with the cast, or
they say it was pulling good ratings. The cast still wanted to do it. I think majority of the cast is still here. The kids are relatively still in that young range, so you could obviously do you obviously can't do the same progression that they did through Boy Meets World, but you could always bring them back in like college. But like they cut it off prematurely, and that sucks for sure.
Okay. I have to look more into that and see why. Because I mean, unless the actors wanted to get paid and they didn't want to pay them, that's
always a big thing. That's always a big thing sometimes.
All right. Last question for you. If you could explore in depth the ocean or space, which one would you do?
Space, because the ocean, hell no. First of all, there's a lot of things in space. There's a lot of things in space that we don't know about, but I mean that we've never visited. But it's a lot of things. It's more. We know what's out there more than we know what's at the bottom, because we can't get to the bottom of our own ocean. If we wanted to launch something as far as we wanted to into space, we could. It would take a lot of funding, but there's no logical way to get to the bottom of the ocean. They say we only explored like 5% of our ocean.
That's what I'm saying. But you go out here into space, you go to Mars, but you can't go in the ocean. Come on, man.
I don't want to know what's down there. Hell no. Do you see some of the stuff that they pull out of the ocean sometimes? Yeah. Like, I've never seen that before, and I know. And obviously, sperm whale is one of the biggest known creatures in the ocean. You mean to tell me there's things bigger than that organism has not explored in the ocean? I'm good. Nope.
It could be a whole civilization down there. You don't know nothing about it. We living on top of it.
Look here. If the light can't reach it, we don't need to go see it. No sun. No sun. No.
Oh god.
Man, they say they only explore 5% of the ocean. We've explored 5% of space in the 60s. Come on, man. Like, what you mean? We're on this planet and we don't know what's at the depths of our ocean? Oh no, we can't even. They don't even have the technology to go down there without destroying it. Like, no.
Noted.
No.
No ocean.
No ocean. No.
Oh, oh my God. Well, BJ, this has been fun.
As always.
This has been fun, man. And of course, if you come back on, I have a plethora of other questions for you, to ask. So before I let you go, do you have any questions for me?
Ooh. I think when I listened to the last episode, I was like, I got a couple zingers for Ashley.
Okay.
And these are league tender questions.
Okay.
If you could be on, if you were curious about being on any other team in the league, if Arizona didn't exist, what team would that be?
It's actually 3. If Arizona never existed, I probably would stay in Tulsa, Atlanta, and Baltimore. Atlanta, because I'm from Atlanta, of course.
I've had quick note. I had conversations with Mark about coming to Atlanta at one point, a long time ago. But that was, and I've also had questions. I've had a small conversation with T-Roy about coming to Baltimore at one point.
Ooh.
But those were definitely conversations.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out. So, but I would love one of those rings for sure.
Okay.
But
no, that's right. I got one. So.
I own my own team now, so it's like, yeah, it is what it is at this point. But let's see if I got another one. If you could have any two artists collab and make a song that you've never heard before, who would it be?
Actually, and it's kind of cheating because somebody did do a remix and I freaking loved it. And if at least one of these artists was alive, I would love to hear them together. Phil Collins and Michael Jackson. There was
that's a good combo.
Sick Ick. I'm not sure if you know that DJ, but he's on TikTok. And he made this collab with those two, In the Air.
In the Air Tonight. And
Do You Remember the Time?
Ooh, that's a good mashup.
When I tell you it was fantastic. When I tell you it's in bed, when I tell you it was amazing, man. Great.
Let's see if I could think of one more for you. If you could be commissioner for a day, what would you change, or what would you improve on? I mean, what would you take out, or what would you improve on in the SFL right now?
So if I was actually in Cam's position where I had to be the executive producer, commissioner, all of that, I would delegate my responsibilities. Because I'm sorry, Ashley is not getting ready to go all gray, trying to do all these games and everything. No. So we're going to find somebody that's going to help me, produce these games so I can focus on one thing. Because to this day, I don't see how he does that.
Some people just have that. I don't know. It ain't enough hours in the day for the stuff I do in my everyday life. So him working as much as he do, and he's married. Oh my God!
That's what I'm saying, man. I can't. I'll lose my mind. I already got this one gray. Eddie already put this one gray hair that's going all the way up here. The rest of y'all done did the other few. Being director of compliance and everything.
Ooh,
so yeah,
bless you for that role. Because we some knuckleheads. So I know I'm a premium subscriber to the Knucklehead Nation. Premium subscriber, top of the list. So
But
Bless your heart.
it's been, but no, I've actually in that role. I've actually honestly had more good days than bad. So
That's good.
yeah.
We all lost causes.
Well, when you understand that, then it's easier to manage.
Right.
But BJ, this has been fun, and I really appreciate you for being on, brother. Thank you so
For sure.
much. You got any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to everybody. Shout out to the league. Shout out to you. Shout out to Eddie. Shout out to all the owners and Cam and making this thing pop off. Shout out to Axel Raven, Chris Comasack, Daniel Wright, that crew, Ben Jackson, all of the people that make the Minnesota Legend run. Myself, I mean, it's fun, man. Shout out to everybody, man. It's been a blast so far. 20 seasons and however many more to go.
Indeed, brother. Thank you so much for your time, and come back whenever you have some time for me, okay?
Always. Peace.
Peace.
Take your trust. I keep my mouth shut, baby. I open up. Hey. I see you shining, baby. Golden aura. I keep my mouth shut, baby. I'll open up. So can I one time?
What is up, SFL Nation, and welcome back to my fourth and goal interview featuring a good friend of mine, Mr. Jonny Pichler. He is the general manager as well as quarterback for the London Knights. How are you doing, man?
Not bad, Ashley. Long time since I've been on the show, but you don't miss a beat. You've just been continuing to chug along, and congrats on whatever number episode this is of yours. A couple hundred now, something like that.
Like 260.
But yeah, I feel like time's flying by since the last time I've been on. But no, it's good to be back with you.
Hey, man, it's good to have you back as always. I mean, I remember interviewing you when you first entered the league, and you said that you wanted to make your mark, and you have. So it's always good seeing you. From all the crap talking you used to do towards me right before game day, and all that good stuff. So
yeah, well, it's for some reason it doesn't work out whenever I do it to you. So I've learned my lesson.
It's all good, man. It's all in fun. But tell me, what's been new with you? What's been going on, like real life wise, before we get started?
Oh man, not too real life wise. The only thing is the kids are getting older. I got the girls playing softball and basketball, and it's crazy seeing them grow up. They just did had their first season of basketball, and they're tall girls, and so they kind of have an advantage out there. And me being the competitor I am, I'm trying not to be. I didn't have any boys, so I'm pushing my girls towards sports, and it's a fun way to have that, daddy-daughter bonding with them out there. I don't want to push them too hard, but I make them, I take them to the gym, besides their practice, and I'm always doing drills with them and this and that. And they're competitive sisters, so it's funny, they hate. I mean, they don't hate each other, but it seems like they do. And they're so competitive. We'll do a rebounding drill, and I'm like, why are you letting your sister get the ball? Why are you letting? And they get so frustrated if the other one beats them to the ball or is shooting better than And I said, it's funny you're getting this frustrated when your sister gets it, but you don't get frustrated when the other team gets it when you're in the middle of a game. I'm like, if you're going to be this frustrated, when your sister gets it, I want to see you that frustrated out there when you're letting the other team get the ball, and this and that. But so it's I'm having my fun, coaching them, and now softball season's right around the corner for them, and so with me it's just work, doing a lot of work lately, and obviously enjoying, still having time for the SFL is a blessing, and it's kind of my one hobby, I'd say, I'll, besides watching sports, I'll, participating in the SFL, it's my thing. Besides my family, and Kelly and I have been lucky enough to go on a few vacations, the last few months. So everything's been going good so far. I can't complain. We could always complain, but where's that going to get us,
That part. Listen, I totally understand that. And I'm happy to hear that they're so active, and, you've been an active inspiration in their life and things like that. So that's really good, man. How old are they anyway?
7 and 8. The oldest one's almost 9.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, I think the last The last time you were on, they seemed like they were like this high, like
Yeah, they're
they.
growing fast.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. So on to SFL things. So you had the Impact Monday game with the Fort Worth Toros, and when I tell you, Johnny, that was such an incredible game to watch. Both teams going back and forth. They played you guys like wholeheartedly, but you and Vin Kalia were like the magic duo, man. So go back to that game for me and tell me in your own words, what was it like for you just watching the game just play through like that?
I mean, yeah, we've all been in games somewhat like that at one point, at some point in your career. And I mean, those are the fun ones. Those are the ones that are exciting. I mean, me personally, I'd rather, blow a team out, but, and not even have to be, on your feet the entire game. To be honest, I never lost confidence, and it's easy to say that after a win. I felt that, and I think that's just part of our home field advantage. I think that's our 17th or 18th consecutive win at home at Queensway. It stretches back in, 3 seasons now, which is pretty crazy. And we just don't lose games at home. And I think it's the longest active home winning streak out of any team in the SFL. I don't know who would be, close up to that. And it's going to be broken one day, but, and Fort Worth gave it a good shot, but we're always confident at home. And at no point in that game, even when it was early and it was their biggest lead, I think was a 21-7 lead early in the game. I didn't lose confidence. I knew the firepower that we have on offense. I think we're, I think we're the number 1 offense in the league right now in total yards and, up there in passing and, and everything. So, I mean, I know we can put points on the board. We're a team that can make splash plays as you saw, Vinny, I was so happy for him. He was a little bit in, he's an all, I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. I mean, he's a star receiver. He's had multiple all-star seasons. And we have a great, quarterback wide receiver relationship and, and we talk and he got in my ear after last season and during last season. We had a very successful season last year. And I'm not, and I don't want to misconstrue what Vinny said. Vinny's like, man, I kind of miss getting the ball. I'm a little bit in Fox's shadow and Merrill's shadow. I'm used to, kind of being a little bit more standout with you and making the big plays, like season, 17 and 18. And I said, those moments will come back. Those plays will come back, we're working to get more balanced as a team. And, when you're the number 1 wide receiver, you have the top DBs lined up against you, it frees up guys like Fox. It opens up the running game for Merrill, when people have to key in on you. And I think Fox has been so successful for the last season and a half that people started to ignore Vinny and we started to bring the ball back his way. And so after being quiet for a little bit of a stretch, he's now scored 8 touchdowns in 2 games. And there's a lot of wide receivers that don't get 8 touchdowns in a season, so he had a standout performance and he's back on everybody's radar and I'm happy for him. But the team as a whole played great. Fort Worth, they played their asses off. They really challenged us on our home turf. I wasn't, I never lost confidence. I really felt that the game was in our hands all the way till the end. And I think I even said there in the chat, once Fort Worth scored, I said plenty of time with the sunglasses emoji with the 48 seconds. I'm like, that's you left us too much time, unfortunately, and that's what we're capable of. So, we're confident with where we're at going forward in the season. And that was a big game for us, but it's behind us and now we're focused on the next one.
Speaking of the next one, is the Motor City V8s. And if I remember correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you guys went on that nice undefeated streak all the way up until you got to Motor City V8's last season. So what do you think will be the season, the keys to your success in this game that you didn't do last season?
Last season's interesting. I don't think we're going to think about that game as we prepare for this game. I think that, there's different things at hand. I mean, Drew's a creative coach. He's always gonna come at you with something. He treats games like these like their Super Bowl, like they're big games, and we knew that that's what that was. When we were 11-0, they were already out of the playoffs. They weren't really playing for anything. They weren't even playing to spoil us because we had the 1 seed locked up. there wasn't much motivation to win that game. I mean, we weren't focused on being a perfect team last year. I think that we experimented with some things, back in week 12. And that's no excuse for a loss. I'm not making excuses, but the game was a meaningless game to us. It didn't have an effect in the playoff tree or the standings. And it just came to about effort. We didn't have the effort because we didn't have the motivation, and Drew and his staff and that team had all the motivation in the world. It was, how were they going to play the last game of season 19? How were they going to end their season? That was their last game regardless. Let's go out and beat the Goliaths of the league. Let's go beat the 11-0 team. We're at home. Let's go do it. They were motivated. They went out and got it done. We didn't have the motivation to get it done that day, and we fell short. So kudos to them, but very different situations. This game now matters for us, where that game didn't matter for us. We look at it as it's a division game. We don't look at them as a weak team or a team down lower in the standings. I think it's just going to be about executing. We're confident in our offense, and our defense has to tighten up a little bit. They're not quite the same as they were last year as far on the defensive end, but there's still tons of playmakers all over that defense. As you saw, the guys making plays. It didn't look like there was too many defenses. The defense didn't show up. If you just look at the scoreboard of yesterday's game, versus Fort Worth, a lot of people would be like, where were the defenses? But you had Wyo with 3 interceptions. You had Mike Jones with an interception. You had Frosby and Selwyn and the guys getting huge sacks on Dunhill in key situations. You had a forced fumble at the goal line where Jack Russell forced a fumble. So the defense has a bunch of playmakers, and they're making plays when they have to. But I know as a unit, they want to tighten up a little bit more, and they want to limit teams. And I think that Motor City is a good team for them to test themselves against and to get some confidence in them. But offensively, we feel nice and sound, and that we'll be able to get the job done this week.
Indeed. Now, since you have been tenured in the league, I feel I can ask you this, and you give me, of course, your honest answer. I would like to go quickly over the standings as far as the different divisions. And I want to know it from your opinion, because I asked BJ Loveless this prior to you coming on. I want to know who you think will beat out, or who's going to win those divisions hands down, in your opinion, of course.
So if I have to pick a division winner for all these?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Pacific is going to be Vancouver, Portland, Seattle, and Los Angeles.
And and just refresh me on the current records on.
Sure. So Vancouver is 4-4, Portland is 3-5, Seattle is 2-6, as well as Los Angeles being 2-6.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give that one to Vancouver Vancouver's not. It's something's off over there with Andy and Prococo. I've had a couple loose conversations with guys around the league, and people could say the same thing about London. London's not starting like they did last year. There's teams with that a little slow out the gate, but it doesn't have that same. They've lost games that you wouldn't expect a Vancouver to lose, and they don't have that same kind of intimidation factor that usually you get when you see Vancouver on your schedule. They kind of just seem like a little bit above average team now, but not that perennial powerhouse they've been for years past. That being said, that's their division until someone takes it away from them, and they've dominated that division for years. I don't know the last time I don't think there's ever been a champion of that division since divisions came into play besides Vancouver. So it's Vancouver's crown, and I think that they're going to defend it, even if it's because of the lack there of competition in that division.
Okay, gotcha. In the West, Arizona Scorpions sitting at 7-1, Las Vegas Fury is 6-1, San Diego Mavericks at 5-3, and Denver Nightwings at 2-5.
Yeah, that's a competitive division right there, and I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a competitive division coming into this season, and it looks like they were right about it. I think all those top 3 teams could end up as playoff teams, but I know you're not looking for me to be like political about it. I would choose you guys, and not just because you're front running, but because of your resume and what you've done so far this season, and really just based off your most recent performance against San Diego. I think that the fact that it wasn't even a close game, that you really handled business. I can't remember the final score. I remember looking at it and it was 31-7 or something like that.
Yes.
You got that 31-7. And so, and just that impressed me. It's like these guys, they're not even putting up a fight against Arizona. So the fact that you can go out and take out a rival, a team that has a lot of talent on them, a lot of hype with Dave Axis and the new San Diego Maverick brand over there. I don't know how anyone could not pick you guys. Obviously, Vegas is having a phenomenal season. I haven't looked at the back half of their schedule, nor compared it to yours. But I feel like just going off of the last few seasons, you guys have remained consistent in the back half of seasons, where I have yet to see that consistency out of Vegas, for an entire season. And they usually have their ups and downs, but they're really on it this year. And obviously they're going to be a playoff team regardless. You guys are going to be a playoff team regardless. It really doesn't matter who wins that division. I don't think. I think both teams, have the potential to make a deep run in the playoffs, and both teams are going to be playoff teams. But if I had to pick a team right now and put my money on it, I'd choose you guys.
Okay. Gotcha. South Division. Mexico City Aztecs sitting at 6-2. Fort Worth Toros at 4-3. Alamo City at 4-4. Houston Headhunters 3-5.
I'm going to say that Fort Worth comes back and sneaks that division out. I think that, and I still have to play three more of those teams. I play Alamo City, I play Mexico City, and I play Houston. Or Houston's not in that division, right? Or are they?
Yeah,
Houston at the bottom. Yeah, Houston at the bottom.
Yeah.
The Tex-Mex division. Yeah, so
exactly.
Yeah, so we have a trip to play the two Texas teams coming up after Motor City, both games in Texas, and then Mexico City. See, you gave me their record, and they have one less loss than Fort Worth right now.
Yes.
But they have to travel to Queensway just like Fort Worth did. So they're going to have to come to play us in week 13. And I look forward to beating the rookie quarterback and whatever they got going over there. Is he a rookie or a sophomore quarterback? Is he a second year?
I want to say he's a second year. Scar? Yeah.
So
no, it's not Stipe, Scar.
Jordan Stipe, or is it Stipe?
Stipe is Mexico. Yeah. So Stipe is second year. Mm-hmm.
Second year. So I don't pay attention to the scabs of the league. So anyway, look forward to Mexico City's always tough. That division, Tex-Mex, has a reputation for multiple teams making the playoffs. But the way Fort Worth played us, the way they've continued to grow as a team, good ownership, good staff, good leadership, and the fact that I'm already counting an additional loss for Mexico City, I basically put them at an even slate going out to finish the season, and I'm going to go with the little bit more, tenured quarterback in Dunhill and the offense that's not necessarily reforming right now. That didn't, lose a Matt Wilson and didn't lose, a Mike Daggs. But heck, I don't think anyone would have predicted Mexico City to be sitting here at where they are at 6-2 with those two huge losses on their offense. So kudos to them for Ramos continuing to just churn out victory after victory. But if I have to, lay a team down, I'll say Fort Worth right now.
Okay, got it. In the North, of course, the London Knights at 4-3. Kansas Class is at 3-4. Motor City 2-6. Queen City looking for their first win, 0-7.
Yeah, my answer there. That's the Knights division. It's our North. We've known it's our North since the beginning of the year. I mean, we have our goal set higher than that. Lucky for us, I suppose, we don't have stiff competition in our division. I think any team out there in the SFL is when you play them, it's a tough game. But I don't feel challenged by any of those teams. I think that I want to win out and be a 9-3 team. I think realistically, we can go 4-1 in these final 5 games and be an 8-4 team. But I think even if we were to be a 7-5 team, I think we'll win this division. And we're shooting higher than that. But I think that we have the division locked up at this point.
Gotcha. In the East, the Atlanta Swarm 7-1, Louisiana 5-3, Florida 2-6, as well as Jacksonville 2-6.
Got to give it to Atlanta with the way that they're playing right now. I don't see them necessarily slowing down. I don't have all their schedules in front of me. I know they have a game against Indianapolis left.
The next game actually for Atlanta is Louisiana.
Is Louisiana. Okay.
Yeah.
So big game right there. I mean, I think that if Atlanta wins that, they have the division locked up. I mean, at that point, I mean, if you let Louisiana creep back into it, there could be issues. But Louisiana's shown some inconsistency this year, and it'll be big for both those teams. I mean, this next game probably should be a primetime game. I don't know what it is, but it's a big game for that division. But yeah, if you're making me choose right now, I'll go Atlanta. But I'm curious to see how both of them will perform. Well, how Atlanta will perform when they actually make the playoffs, because Atlanta, since Dunhill left and they won the championship that year, and Dynasty's come in as quarterback, Atlanta's never won a playoff game. So they kind of have a little bit of a curse going on over there. So even if Atlanta makes the playoffs, will they be able to win a playoff game with the new regime? Because they haven't in 5 or 6 seasons now.
Good point. In the Atlantic, Baltimore sitting at 6-1, Carolina at 4-3, DC at 3-5, and Charleston 1-7.
That's Baltimore's division.
Mm-hmm. Central, Minnesota 6-2, Tulsa 6-2, Indianapolis Ramblers at 5-3, and Sioux Falls at 4-4.
Yeah, that's a beat it up division, and it's still anyone's game right there. You have a big divisional matchup this week in Indianapolis versus Sioux Falls. I was talking to my old coach and friend Chad earlier today, and he was saying how it's a playoff game for his team basically at this point. I mean, Indianapolis needs to get that win over Sioux Falls, because then they have a bye week, and after their bye week, they have Atlanta and Tulsa as 2 of the final 3 games in their schedule. So, you take a loss right now to Sioux Falls, and you're looking like you're on the outside of the playoffs with that remaining schedule. But I have so much respect for how quickly Minnesota has made an impact in this league since becoming a team last season. BJ and all the guys over there, they're doing great. And Reno's doing a good job over there at quarterback. Tulsa, everybody wants to hate, I don't say hate on Tulsa, but Tulsa's that team that seems to not be getting the respect maybe they deserve. I think I saw that maybe on Eddie's channel or someone's channel, everybody talking about Tulsa. I mean, I think they deserve the respect. I think, look, they're a 6-2 team, and they've won some big games, and I think you're going to see both those teams in the playoffs. If I have to pick a team right now, and I'm curious if they have a game against each other left on the schedule. I don't know if Tulsa has to play against Minnesota, or if they've already done that.
Actually, next game they play each other.
There you go. Whoever wins that one is going to take the division, in my opinion. I mean, it's really on the line right there. Obviously, anything can happen the final couple weeks after that, but I expect both these teams to remain pretty consistent, and so I'd say the winner of that game is gonna win the division.
Okay. Now, you alluded to a question I was going to ask you about coaching. So you've been a part of 2 teams since you've been in the league?
3 teams.
3 teams. Okay.
I was drafted by St. Louis, went over to Louisiana, had the breakup with Louisiana, and went to London.
Okay. So the coaches for all 3 teams, tell me what the differences are in their coaching
coaches?
style. Yeah, and the coaches that you have been under. Tell me what the differences were in all 3 coaches, whether it be good or bad.
Okay. Well, I've had Gerald as a head coach in St. Louis. I followed him. He was still my head coach in Louisiana. I then had Chad as a head coach in London, and now I've had Liam as a head coach the last season and a half in London. So I have had 3 head coaches through 3 different teams. But and I'd say the one thing I'd say that is consistent among all 3 of them, and is what I demand out of a head coach wherever I go, and all 3 of them learn this and know this about me, is that I have a very deep relationship with my head coach. I'm not a player who sits back and just hopes for the best and is not involved and is not in the coach's ear and is not questioning the coaches on their decision, is not demanding better of them, and and so they've all learned and they've all, admitted appreciating that about me, and that, they all had moments where they said, you've lit a fire under me. You've done, you've got me, to take that extra hour and run those extra sims. I don't want to be receiving that phone call from Jonny after a loss type of thing. And, and it's not because, I'm not there as a prima donna to bitch them out or anything. They see a player who cares, and they respect that quarterback coach relationship. And so I'll say that that's consistent. They're all great coaches in the sense that they were willing to have that relationship with me and speak with me multiple times throughout the week, where I wasn't surprised on what was going to go into the game plan, and I knew what to expect. And they were willing to listen to criticism and listen to ideas, and and deal with a heavily involved player like myself. So that they all have in common, and it's something that all of my head coaches, it's a trait that I would require out of someone who's going to be my head coach. The differences is their philosophies. Gerald runs a more, he's a kind of an old school coach, defensive minded, ground, kind of conservative offense. If it's his way, I believe he'd like to, run the ball on first and second down, and and if it's third and short, run it again, and if we have to throw the ball, we're gonna take care of the ball, and we're gonna, and that I really respected. I have nothing negative to say against Gerald now. We had our breakup in Louisiana, but that wasn't all due to him. There were, there was just a lot involved back then. And we went in separate directions. I will say, just because I know you like the you like the hot takes and the quotes and the shit talking a little bit. I will say, as much as I have nothing negative to say about Louisiana or Gerald per se, we all know who won that breakup. We all know who won that breakup. Since I've left Louisiana, I think Louisiana's made the playoffs one time, and I've made the playoffs every year that I haven't worn a Louisiana jersey. And you don't even want to compare my stats to Utah's stats. So we know who won that breakup. But that being said, Gerald, as a man and as a coach, he's dedicated. He runs a more conservative offense. I got a little bit of ridicule as being the handoff quarterback with him, always handing it off to Reggie Street or hand off this, but he coached me to Rookie of the Year. My first year when I was number 1 overall pick in the draft, I was Rookie of the Year, and that was his doing. He got me to my first I was an all-star as a rookie, which the weakest rated quarterback in the league. I was the only rookie quarterback. I was a silver when every other quarterback was a gold. And I made the all-star game in my rookie year, and that was his doing. So even with a handoff first type of game, he still gave me my moments to shine, to throw the ball when it mattered, and I'm always a guy who takes pride in the touchdown interception ratio, and that's what I loved about Gerald. He always kept my touchdown interception ratio clean for the most part until he let a rookie offensive coordinator take over, and kind of that's where things started to go downhill. But as a head coach, I'd say his philosophy is consistent. He's a defensive minded guy. He likes to take care of the ball, and it works out for him more so than it doesn't. Then I went over to Chad. Chad's a high flyer. He's a guy who takes chances. He likes to open up the field. When he brought me over there, he said, you're not, he laughed and he's like, you're going to be no handoff quarterback anymore. He's like, we're going to show the league what you can do. He's like, I'm going to put you on the map in ways that you haven't seen. And I know you'll put London on the map in ways that London's never seen. And I think that we both came, did our part in that. And he got me to another all-star appearance. But this time we were an air raid team. I was throwing to Mike St. Green and Vin Calia and Saren Storm and Benji Matson, and we were whipping the ball down the field. And there was a point where it looked like I was going to break the all-time yards record in throwing yards, and he had me throwing for 35 touchdowns in a season. And so his philosophy, air it out. Now you see Chad in Indianapolis, and what are they doing? They're airing it out. They're airing it out in Indianapolis. So he's brought kind of that air raid attack and philosophy over to Indianapolis, and you got you got Colin Pierce, throwing for a shit ton of yards, and you got Ryan Roosevelt catching balls like Vin Calia used to in the offense and stuff. So you see that trend in the coaching, and Chad's a great coach. He brings in great players, and he develops friendships and relationships with all of his players. He cares about his players a lot, and he wants everybody to have a good time. And Chad was an awesome coach. And then you go over to Liam. And even when Chad left, I wanted to, I wasn't going to follow a coach like I did the first time. We were building something over here in London, and I'm like, no one gives me a better chance to win than to stay right here in London where I'm at with all these star players around and what we've been building. We've made the playoffs twice in a row, and this is going into last season. I said I want to do it again. We're chasing a championship, and then last year we went 11-1 and had a great season. Lost to you guys in the semifinals, but now we made the playoffs 3 years in a row from a team that before I came, had never made the playoffs, and we're doing great things. And so I wanted to stick it out with London, and that meant accepting Liam as my head coach. And I quickly gained that, built that relationship. He was already my owner, but I didn't have that coach quarterback relationship that I did, with Chad and with Gerald, with Liam. But Liam quickly learned to build that with me. And, we still talk on a weekly basis to this day, even though he's out in the UK. And I have a lot of faith in him as a head coach. Liam has gotten a lot of flack in this league from a lot of people, but people like to, ignore the stats. And at the end of the day, I know that he had a 10 years head coach way back in the day, where he wasn't as successful. But he learned a lot in sitting back and watching other teams, and sitting back and seeing what Chad was doing, and seeing what other teams were doing. And he was working on his new philosophy, knowing that Chad was on his way out one day. And boy, was he ready to implement it from day one. He knew what he was going to do with that offense. He knew what he was going to do with that defense. And since he's his second 10 years head coach, since he's taken back over as head coach, he has a 15-4 record in the regular season. Not a lot of coaches have a 15-4 record besides maybe Baltimore over the last 19 games, and he's undefeated at home. If last year he coached the offensive player of the year and the defensive player of the year, or the MVP Robert Merrill and the defensive player of the year in Cam Frosby. So how many head coaches can say that not only did they coach their team to 11-1, they also had the MVP on their team. They also had the defensive player of the year on their team. They had 7 or 8 all-stars on their team. They also broke an SFL record for point differential. So he accomplished a lot in his first year as a head coach. His philosophy, though, is different. Is kind of between Gerald and Chad's. It's more balanced. He likes to utilize Merrill in the running game, but he also knows how to not neglect the passing game. He's learned everything I'm capable of doing with my arm. He's learned how talented our receivers are by watching, clearly that air raid attack. And I think he has a nice balanced offense. And, so I'd say their 3 philosophies overall, are different, but they're all, good leaders in their own way. And they all, have, are good people outside the game.
Gotcha. Interesting. I was always wondering about those differences and the similarities. So thank you for clearing that up for me. One thing before we move over to Survivor Pool, I want to know, what do you think changed with you guys from you going from that 11-1 season that you guys had till now? Was it the turnover? Was it maybe trying something else, team build wise or playbook wise? What do you think it is?
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you brought it up. I don't think. See, I think that everybody thinks of us as a much weaker team now, that we're somehow different than last season, and I'm okay with them thinking that. I'm okay, and maybe just kind of how I made that comment about Vancouver earlier in the show about them not looking as intimidating as they used to. I hope that's how people, look at London. I hope that they plan. I hope that they plan, a little bit less hard or something like that, because I know that each and every one of us inside the locker room know that we're just as powerful as we were last season, and we're just as capable of making a run for the championship as last season. We're just as capable of finding you and matching up with you guys in the semifinals like we did last year. and making a rematch right there. So we know we're going to be in the playoffs. There's no question about that. We know we're going to win this division. It's just about getting things in order, but and being on our best game by the time that we're going to be in the dance. So we're going to have our dancing shoes on. It's just about knowing, making sure that we're at peak form and we've exhausted all of our our resources and we're ready to go come the dance. We're going to have just as good a shot to win that championship as anybody. So I don't look at us as a less team than last year. I think that we had turnover. We lost, key figures, but we replaced all of them, and we replaced them with just as good a talent, if not better. I mean, Tanner was an outstanding cornerback, but we brought in Mike Jones, who even signed a higher contract and is a better cornerback on paper than Tanner's contract was last year. And Mike Jones has made some killer plays since he's been on this team, just like Tanner used to for us. We lost Jeff Gagne, who was a big leader in the locker room and middle linebacker, but we shifted Tony Roberto, multiple year captain, over to middle linebacker, threw a shit ton of loyalty points on him. And if you look at his build compared to Jeff's build, I mean, his build, it blows Jeff's out of the water, and so, we're very comfortable with where we're at in our linebacking core, even with our rookie Creech out there as the third linebacker. We added a defensive lineman. We lost Benji, big loss at tight end. But considering what we utilized Benji for last season, we felt that, Talon Steele could do everything that Benji could. And Talon Steele has been there for us. I don't think Talon's dropped a pass this season. So every time I throw it to him, guy catches the ball and he's doing his job. So, I mean, we've replaced all those parts. We're experimenting with things at this point, I can tell you. I think that what we learned from last season was that when you keep doing the same thing over and over, it's a league that learns. It's a league that finds a formula of how to stop you. And even if you're so good talent-wise that you're good enough to just keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and you can beat 9 out of 10 teams, it's going to come to a point, and that point is playoffs, where that's just not going to work. Where you're going to go up against a caliber team that knows what you're doing, and they're going to scout for it, and they're going to prepare for it, and they're going to embarrass you, kind of the way that you did to us in the semifinals last year. So right now it's about learning ourselves, trying new plays, experimenting with different defenses, because we already know we have the talent. We already know we're going to win our division. At least that's how we feel. We're not threatened that we're not going to win the division. We lost. I mean, there's a couple games you could easily turn around that were losses that should have been wins. I think that Canton game, they caught. We were experimenting with some bad stuff, and they caught us on a weird day, and that looked really bad out there on Canton. That Canton game should have been a win. The first game of the year, everybody says week one's a weird game. We had to travel all the way to San Diego against a team that had our playbooks from last year. So you had Benji and Jeff, who were staff members last year. They know what we like to do. We have no idea what this new San Diego motley crew, likes to do. So we're on the road. We knew that we had a disadvantage going into that game. We felt if there was a rematch now mid-season, we'd be much more comfortable going against a team like San Diego. Yeah. So you take away a week one game, you take away kind of a flukish Canton game, and all of a sudden we're a 6-1 team, and no one has all these questions about London. We look just as powerful as we did last year, but we're okay on paper, looking where we're at right now. And if people want to dismiss us or say we're not the team we were last year, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and we are more than okay with our opponents having that opinion of us, because we know what we're capable of, and we know that we're going to be in the dance, and we know that we're going to be ready come the dance.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is underestimate anyone, especially in a league as competitive as it is, especially this season. It would be remiss of you to do that. So that's why I asked. No one asked. Well, maybe there have been things that you've heard on your end, but that was just a question because I knew that something was up, and it was either one of the two things. So, and I know you, Jonny, and I know that I can talk to you about everything. Yeah. So, but I'm glad you answered that too. Survivor pool. So, what gave you this idea to actually bring the Survivor pool up to begin with, or bring it to the league and to begin with? Great idea, by the way.
Yeah, the Survivor pool is actually it was around in seasons 14, 15, and 16, I believe, or 15 and 16. We either did 2 years of it. I think in 15 and 16, we did the survivor pool, and we had a lot of people in the first year, and then it grew like almost double the second year. And but one thing that we were frustrated about was that we just couldn't, we couldn't advertise for it. Like we couldn't we tried to let people know, but so it was basically people who just had side servers and word of mouth. Hey, like Johnny has a survivor pool on the side. If you want to get in it, you should get in on it and stuff, and blah, blah, blah. And, I think Dave Axis, he promoted it a lot. You on your show would tell people if I sent you something to put out, like I relied on the media of the league to kind of put it out to get people out. But I couldn't really at everyone in general and say, hey guys, here's an opportunity for you to do this. But I just got that idea because I do it for the NFL. I'm in NFL survivor pools every year. And I always have a fun time doing it. It's a pretty simple thing. I mean, you every week you have to pick a team. There's a couple weeks you have to pick 2 teams. They're called double pick weeks, obviously. But you pick a team and they have to win their game, and you can never pick that same team again. So you don't want to use your Arizonas and your Baltimores early in the season, because come week 9, you'll be stuck with your Portlands and your Seattles and your this and that. So you have to be very strict. You have to look at the guys who are still in it. I'm sure, I know I talked to Axis, he's in it. Eddie always has a good track record in it. I mean, these guys look at the schedule in advance and they're like, no, I'm saving Vancouver for week 12 for when they're against LA or Seattle. I'm doing this, and they're kind of, being strategic with their picks. And then, and we play for money. There's a buy-in fee to get in, and then through the first 6 weeks, you can have like kind of 3 strikes and you're out. You can make mistakes and rebuy back in. So, and then after week 6, there's no more rebuys. So some people will strategically, some people who say I'm willing to spend more money on this or whatever. I know that there's some people who've told me that their strategy is to pick bad teams early, and they don't care if they lose because they're going to rebuy, and now they just wasted a bad team and they didn't have to waste one of the good teams early and stuff. So there's a lot of different strategies on it. I like just how someone in the community, and I actually have good odds at winning this year, but I haven't been an outright winner before. I think I shared a win with 2 other with Rochelle Colston and Axis, and I think Eddie and Eagle won the year before that. But I like how someone in the community is going to win a nice chunk of change, and it's like, hey, it's someone in the SFL. You can't even be mad at it. We're all playing for fun, at the end of the day. And someone at the end of the day is going to take home a couple grand, and then you're happy for that person, and what bills they're paying with that, or what they're using to do. So, but I hope I win this year. And, but I'm always transparent. I know people that asked me in the past, like, well, how do we know that you're submitting your picks? So every week there's, an individual or 2 that I submit my picks to in advance of everybody else submitting their picks. And it's like time stamped and it's official. And they give me the thumbs up. Hey, I've received your picks, the same way I give everybody else who submits their picks to me the thumbs up and stuff. So I do it nice and early in the week, and I send out my pick to an anonymous person or 2. And then if it's ever challenged or something, then we have like a whole sheet of like all the times that Johnny sent in his picks and stuff like that. But I feel the need to say that now because I feel like I have a good chance at winning, but I don't want to, jinx myself and all of a sudden not win. But
knock on wood for you, that's all.
There you go. But it's a fun thing, and I encourage more people to get in. The more the merrier, so next year hopefully even more people jump in on it.
And I think by you taking the time out to explain it and how it works, I think, when people, it's different to read it than someone actually taking the time out and explaining it to you. So I think that you're probably going to get a better showing next season, or just going to continue to grow, especially by it actually being in the league now, like in the server.
Yeah, that was nice. Cam told me, Cam reached out to me, and we were talking because he was going to do it for the fantasy guys. He said, hey, I'd like to get Survivor Pool as part of this. And one thing that a lot of guys who've done the Survivor Pool for the first time have told me is that they said, man, even in the years even if I don't win, what I realized was this made games that weren't my own team's game, like I have interest in them now. Like I really actually care to watch, because if you see it, like for example, let's say Vancouver is against Seattle or something, and there's 50 people in their Survivor Pool. and then you see that it's posted before the games start that 30 people picked Vancouver, but you weren't one of those people. You now want Seattle to upset Vancouver so that 30 other people get eliminated. So now you have like a rooting interest in this team, and people will be in the chat like, dude, I need this person to win for the survivor pool. And it's like, why do you care so much about this game? It's like, dude, because of the survivor pool, man. I'm trying to win money right now. Like, and I need this team to win. So it's nice. It gives people a little bit of motivation. Not that there already isn't enough, but it gives you that little extra motivation to go watch a game that might not be your own.
Got it. I like it. A few more questions for you. Now, this is specifically about you, Lil, and so people can get a more in-depth look at Jonny. Okay. Do you have a secret talent? If so, what is it?
I don't know about a secret talent. I really don't. I mean, I don't try and keep it secret, but maybe something that people don't know about me is that, like, I'm a private detective for a living. So, that kind of seems spyish / secret or whatnot. So, but yeah, so I'm former military intelligence, and and I was law enforcement in the military, and now I'm working as in the private sector, and we're licensed private detectives in Illinois, and I do stuff like that. So I go to big firms and we'll look for eavesdropping devices in people's homes and in meeting rooms, and we'll do covert surveillances where we'll follow people, and we'll put tracking devices on vehicles, and do all types of secret
spy
type stuff that people that so it's one thing that people probably don't know about me, but yeah, that's what I do for a living right now.
Very interesting, man. I've known you for a while and I didn't even know that. So yeah, you're pretty good at your job.
It's not something we necessarily always put out there, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Gotcha. So if you could compete in the Olympics at any sport, what would it be?
Bobsledding.
Okay.
I always felt that I was, good on a sled hill as a kid,
Yeah.
and I'd like to make, and I loved Cool Runnings as a movie.
Right.
And I think that I'd kill it as a bobsledder.
Okay. Let me see you out there on a daggone bobsled. I will lose my mind.
You'd pay to see that.
I would pay to see that. So if you could change places with anyone in the world right now, who would it be and why?
Change places, like literally have their life?
Literally have their life.
I want to say that, I wouldn't do that because I love my family and
hypothetical.
Yeah. But if I had to, if I had a gun pointed in my head and someone said, no, dude, you're going or you're dead. Okay. Then I'm like, all right, well, I'm choosing Tom Brady.
Of course you would.
or Joe Burrow, just so I still had some playing days left in me, and I didn't, just take over right after the entire career's done. I think I'd say have some fun with Joe Burrow's arm.
Okay.
But I'd probably have to say Tom Brady.
Gotcha. Someone is writing your autobiography. What would the title of it be?
Oh. I don't know. Not the most interesting man in the world. That's what it would be. Not the most interesting man in the world.
Okay. And we all know that's a lie. What was one of your favorite TV shows growing up as a child?
Like what age group are you talking to me? Like before I was 10 or in my teens? Like,
let's go before you were 10.
Obviously, like the Power Rangers and crap like that, and superhero stuff. But one unique one that was always on. I don't know if anyone will remember that, but it was called The Land of the Lost.
Yes.
Right. With
yes.
Stink, the little dinosaur monkey guy, and
yes.
And they were in some like futuristic dinosaur world. This family that lived in a treehouse and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yes.
I was all about the Land of the Lost when I was a kid.
Me too. Love that, man. Love that. If you had the power to teleport right now, well, no, I guess kind of no. I don't want to do that one. Um, since you're in Chicago, what is your favorite thing to do locally?
Gamble.
I thought you was gonna say the taste of Chicago or something.
No, yeah, no, I mean, I'm wondering what BJ said because he's in Chicago too, right? Did you ask that question again?
Actually, I asked different questions.
Okay, because I'm curious what he would say as a local thing because we're both Chicago guys.
Yeah.
I'm not big on the city going, doing stuff around here. Like, I think it's, a fun place to visit, but I have friends who come from out of town and they're like, dude, what should I do? We're in Chicago, man. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it just seems like, a crime-ridden city to me. I'm just kidding. No, it's not that bad. I'm not scared of going downtown. No, I don't know what's fun to do. Just there's a lot of good eats around here. You can always find a new place to eat. There's always fun activities and things that are popping up that are unnecessary. But yeah, I don't have a great answer for that.
Okay. Now, keep in mind that these are just some fun, kind of crazy questions, okay?
Sure.
The zombie apocalypse is coming. Who are the 3 people that you want on your team to help protect your family?
Am I choosing people that people know, like from inside the SFL?
It could be that if you think that they're gonna help you, or it could be like
no one in the SFL is gonna help me.
It could be like for me, it'll be John Wick, it'll be the Equalizer, and it would be the Expendables. Good.
Oh, so you can choose like fictional people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Choose whoever you want.
3 people that will help protect my family.
Yeah, you and your family.
Well, I'll choose Superman.
Okay.
Why?
Cool.
I'll choose. I guess you got to go with superheroes, man. I'm not like an expert on superheroes or who are the most like powerful ones.
Yeah.
But give me like no, not the Hulk because I feel like he can't control like when he goes like green and whatnot, and I don't know anything about that. Superman, Iron Man, and Captain America.
Okay. Gotcha. Interesting. By the way, some of these questions are brand new, so some of these people that I've had on the show have not answered these questions. So This is going to be funny. This one is actually one I have asked before. Every time you walk outside, there is a theme song that plays. What is it?
Here comes the money. Here comes the money. The song that I always play whenever I'm on like Eddie's show or Ash's show.
Yes.
When I'm on live.
Yes. Perfect. That's you, Lord. If you can only have one meal for the rest of your life.
Potato skins.
Okay.
Yeah,
really?
I thought about that one before. I think one meal. I think I'll go potato skins. I like potatoes. And I'm kind of turning into a potato, but yeah, I get cheese, bacon, potatoes. I mean, I get there's a trick to all these questions because I'm sure I'd get tired of it. But if I had to choose one, I mean, something starchy. I feel if I'm stuck on an island or I got to do something, it's good carbs and it's I'll stick with potato skins.
If you could be guaranteed one thing in life besides money, what would it be?
Guaranteed in life one thing besides money.
Mm-hmm.
I know I believe in God, so I'd like to be guaranteed a trip to heaven.
Okay. Good deal. You're the first person that said that one. That was good. If you ran the world, if this was Johnny's world, what is one thing that you would change about it? Then I have 2 more after this, and then we're done.
Okay. I don't know. That's tough. Like now, like my mind's going all political and whatnot. I don't know. I think I'd enforce stricter penalties for certain types of criminals,
Okay.
and things like that without going deep into it. Yeah.
Good enough for me. If you could have dinner with one or 2 people that is either living or not living, that is either famous or not famous, who would you have dinner with and why?
Tom Brady.
Of course.
And the comedian Bill Burr.
Okay. Why?
I think Bill Burr is hysterical. Like I love his comedy, and I feel like a lot of his jokes and his like his everything he says, I think is like really relatable to me and really funny. I think it'd just be hysterical to meet him and actually have dinner with him. And Tom Brady, just because he's the only like person that I'm a fanboy over.
Guess all them rings, that helps, right? It's
Right.
bright and shiny. If you could go back to the past and just visit the past, or go forward to the future, if you had a time machine, which one would you choose and why? Keep in mind that you can't change anything either in the future or in the past.
I can't change anything if I go backwards.
Nope. You can't change
And
things.
and question for you, like if I go backwards or forward, am I now stuck there, or do I have a ride back here?
No, you're in a time machine, so you can definitely come back.
Okay,
Like
so
a
I can definitely
DeLorean.
come back.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh shit, man, because I don't want to go somewhere where I'm stuck. Yeah. If that's the case, if I can't change anything and I can come back, I would definitely go forward,
Why?
because I would get a sports almanac and I would know who won all of the games.
Pull it back to the future. Okay.
Oh yeah, we'd be making bets like crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you could literally make yourself the most. I mean, I've had this like joking thing like what's superpower, time travel, this and that. If you were all about wealth, which I'm not, and I don't think that that's the most important thing in the world. But if like your goal was wealth or power, like all you would need is you would need less than 50 games to become the wealthiest person in the world, even if you just had like a penny to start multiplying it and to parlay all these games together. I mean, you could, it's crazy what just knowing a few outcomes can do for you, so yeah, if you get a book of who wins a few seasons, you can take some sweet advantage of that.
Good stuff, Johnny. I cannot wait to have you back on, probably maybe towards the end of the season, whenever you have time, because I know you're a busy man. And ask you some more of these questions. Like I literally have about 400. So
yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I don't think I gave the best answers for all of them, but I tried.
No, those were your answers. No, it's not about being the best. It's about giving.
No, I mean, I wasn't prepared for them, but no, it's all good. I had a fun time, and it's always fun being on the show, Ashley.
Hey, man, I'm always glad having you, man. But before I let you go, is there any questions that you have for me?
Do I have any questions for you?
Yeah. Anything.
Does the way you guys still lost the championship last year, does that still hurt to this day?
Yup, absolutely. Yes. I still have that play saved.
Is that ever going to go away unless you guys win one?
It'll go away eventually, slowly. But I actually had to, I always do celebrate with the championship winners. every season. So you can imagine how hard that show was.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, you beat us. Good job. Like, come on, bro. Come on. But yeah, it still kind of stings a little bit. But in actuality, I love Baltimore. I always have. They are my brothers. They're the only team that actually just gave me a ring at their own arsenal. Like, who gives another player a ring like that? You know.
No, hey, we
but
got a bunch of them laying around. So here you go. But yeah, you're gonna be at the convention this year, I'm guessing.
yeah, plan to definitely.
Nice.
Man, I'm really looking forward. I've never been to Cincinnati, so it'll be a different experience. You know.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure you're
hoping
gonna
to
be there.
again too. Yeah, it's only
Yeah.
a 4.5 hour drive from the Chicago area, so it's not too bad. As long as my girls don't have some type of traveling softball tournament or something, I think I'll be good to go.
Awesome. Cool. Was that it? Is all of
Yes,
them?
ma'am. Yeah, I
Okay.
am.
Cool.
You're the interviewer. I'm the interview. I'm bad at asking questions.
No worries, man. But listen, always a pleasure, always a fun time having you on. I know that you're very insightful, and I've always told you, Johnny, you know, ever since you started, like, bro, you have a way of just getting what you want to say off your chest. And sometimes it could be a little much, but I think that is the beauty of who you are and the player that you have created. It brings life to the league and even to the team that didn't have one at first. So kudos to you, man.
Appreciate
You have any
it.
shout outs? Yeah. You got any shout outs you want to give?
No, I mean, shout out to all my guys in the night locker room. I mean, like I said, we know what we're capable of, and you know, boys, just be ready to have your dancing shoes on, because you know we're gonna be in the playoffs, and let's make a run at it. You know, go London. I think that you know, in an interest, you know, and I don't even want to get into something. I think this feels like it's going to be the end of an era in London in one way or another, and I want us all to go out on a high note, and that's really important to me. So let's go get it, boys.
Indeed. Well, wish y'all the best of luck, unless you're playing us, of course. And can't wait to see how everything shakes out for y'all.
All right, sounds good, Ashley. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, brother. Bye. All right, that is it. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And special thanks goes out to BJ Loveless and Jonny Pichler for being on the show this evening. And of course, Diggy, thank you so much for being on. You got any good words, any quotes for the people this evening?
Any quotes?
Yeah. Or you can start singing.
No, I know. I ain't gonna start singing. I ain't gonna start singing nothing. I've heard it's okay though, you know. But no, I'm not gonna do any of that. I think now's the perfect time to say it, since we're talking about you know, people moving spots and you know, kind of the free agency and how people recruit people. My thing is, you can't see anything if your eyes are closed. So really open them up and look at what's around, whether it's the person doing the talking or the person being talked to. Really look at stuff, make your decision. Look at everything as a whole. Time versus opportunity, or opportunity to move up. What's your goal? That's a really you have to look at is what's your goal? What's my end goal? Do I want to be a coach? Will this hurt my playing time but help me as a coach, because I have an opportunity to learn from somebody who is experienced and holds a lot of weight, and I know is going to be able to have the time to help me, and I know all this. So really open your eyes and look at everything. So that's my thing.
Hey, sounds good, man. Looking forward to bringing you another great podcast next week, y'all. But until then, stay safe, treat each other well. Diggy, Striker, out.